another episode of Talking Nerdy in the Bedroom with me. And I have a special guest again. It is Dennis. Hi, Dennis.
Hi.
So we are back of us because it's WrestleMania. Well, the weekend is now passed. WrestleMania has concluded. WrestleMania 41. Unfortunately, neither one of us were there, or maybe fortunately, because, yeah, although it was in Vegas. So there's always the Vegas part of it. Yeah. But we're actually gonna go back in time a little bit, not too much. But Dennis actually got an amazing wife who got him tickets to Elimination Chamber back in February, which was in Toronto, right?
It was.
Yeah, it was in Toronto, and you did the what is it called? Like on location thing?
Yeah, we did actually I got the things here. We did the gold level hospitality VIP thing,
Go.
which were is fancy and expensive, but fancy.
Yes. Anything that's fancy is usually expensive. Um, so and that was a surprise gift for you, right, for Christmas?
It was a Christmas gift for I guess mainly me, but also my daughter and also my wife because reasons.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hell of a gift, a hell of a surprise too. It'd be like, hey, you know how we just started getting into wrestling and you've been into wrestling for a while? We're going, and we're going like rock stars.
Remember those bills we were gonna pay? Don't worry about those.
There
They're
you,
not going anywhere.
yeah, they'll be there next month or the month after. Um,
Fine.
so when you rolled in, did you have your own? Because I've thought about doing the on location a couple times, and even though I don't want to spend the money, it looks like it comes with a lot of stuff and like your own separate area and all these perks that kind of come along with it. So, what were your overall feelings of it? And then, did you feel like a rock star and better than everybody else while having it?
So initially, no, it was freezing. So uh, me going to a number of sporting events over the years, including wrestling, including hockey and football, and yada yada yada. Right? I know we're going to be in a stadium. I'm like, you know what? We're going to go early. We have our own entrance, right? We had to go to a particular entrance to pick up our passes, and then we were going in. I'm like, I'm not going to bring the big coat. Just going to have my hoodie on with a light coat, and we'll be fine because we're not going to be outside long, right? Cool. So I was wrong. So if I'm assuming not too many have been to what was Sky Dome. It's now Rogers Center. It's Rogers Center. It's a big baseball stadium, and in between the buildings and the Rogers Center is kind of where the trains go, and it's a wind tunnel. Well, the entrance we were supposed to go to is pretty much right there at the start of the wind tunnel. So we got our passes, and it is negative something out, and we're standing there freezing as the wind is just hitting us hard. Uh, so we got our passes. We had to be there by I thought it was 4:30. We get our passes, and then we wait in line, and we're standing in line, and we're standing in line, and we're standing in line. Eventually, they open the doors. Now, technology. I love technology. I have so much technology around the house. It's great. They have fancy noodle scanners at the entrance now. You scan your tickets from your phone. Some have the tap with the nice Apple NFC thing going on. Some you scan a barcode, whatever. Move on. Well, those weren't working very well. So as they open the doors and people start scanning their tickets, they ain't working. So, like, four people got it. It was probably about 10 feet of space from the door to the ticket scanners. And of course, there's just no room for anybody. So we're standing in line again. We keep standing in line, and we still stand. Nobody had a clue. I don't blame the ushers that were making minimum wage. They have no idea what's going on. They called people to help them fix it. I guess people who were using the Apple tap to get in wasn't working. But if you scanned the barcode in your email or whatever, it was working. Once we got in and I felt my fingers again, that changed. So that initial experience sucked because we were in the cold. Apparently, there were two levels. There's like a silver and a gold or something, or maybe there were more levels, but at least there were two. So the VIP area kind of split. So the silver level had like an area, and the gold level had a special place of their own. Gold had open bar, which fantastic. I made
That
friends with the bartenders very quickly.
that is good to know for the
Um,
future.
I went there. My wife wasn't really drinking. Obviously, my daughter's not drinking. Um, I took full advantage of that. So I'm like, well, I'm going to drink what I can here, and I'm not going to drink anything during the show. I will have the entire show to sober up. It's fantastic. So I drank quite a bit in the pre-show. And of course, the bartenders now being my friends are like, when we close up, take two with you. Like, I like you guys. I like you guys a lot. Um, so as they were closing up, took two drinks with me, out of there. Lots of food, like free food. The silver side had a section of food that we could go look through. The gold side had their own different offering of food, so there was plenty to eat. Uh, the views, there was a balcony you could go down to, and obviously this will change per arena, but so you had the big VIP things. They had a whole big wall of video games set up, like PlayStations or whatever, to play WWE game at the time, so you could stand there and play PlayStation. That was kind of cool. They had a bunch of photo areas, a bunch of stuff set up where you could kind of take a photo against stuff. But they had a walk down where you could go to a private balcony, for the VIP people, and it was like you got this nice, cool view of the entire arena and the setup and the layout of the floor. It was just pretty neat. It was actually a great setup. Um, there were the scheduled meet and greets. We had been promised Sammy, Kevin Owens, and Natalia. That was all they could promise. We got in line, and Kevin Owens and Natalia showed up together. And then they did all their pictures and they left. And we were walking around, and Charles Robinson showed up. So I took a picture with Charles Robinson. Raquel Rodriguez showed up. So we took a picture with her. Outside, and it was funny. It started sinking in for my daughter. My daughter is 8, and she sees them being bad guys on TV all the time. Raquel was the nicest person in the world. My daughter got to wear the belt. She had the tag belt at the time. It still does today. She's like, here, do you want to wear this? And so my daughter got to put on the tag belt. Super nice to her. I think it finally started to click of like, oh, on TV they're acting bad, but look, in real life they're actually super cool people. So that was awesome. Turn around and Sammy comes in with EO. No, this was Elimination Chamber. So 2 days later, EO won the belt. So that was kind of cool. It was also amazing to me how how short EO is compared to what you picture in your head. My wife and my daughter is 8, and my daughter was almost as tall as EO. I'm like, do you see this? This is put that in your head now, and now picture what you see on TV. It's again, seeing on TV is hard to put things in perspective until you're standing right next to the person. So that was cool. Good photo ops. Again, we didn't expect EO. I didn't expect the other random, Raquel or Charles Robinson to show. Obviously the rest of my family didn't know who Charles Robinson was. I was more than happy, so that was fine. But the food was good. The drinks were flowing. You're in there early and you kind of have free reign. There's, a couple of spots where people just check your passes. So you could kind of walk out to the general area where you had access to more like the souvenir stands and things of that nature. So once we got in, it was actually kind of fun. I know we spent quite a bit for the package. I guess as my wife was explaining it, as she was looking at the tickets, the upcharge to get the VIP with the ticket, all said and done, it really wasn't that big of a deal. So, just buying the tickets alone would have been expensive, but to get it with the VIP thing, yes, it was obviously more expensive, but it wasn't that crazy upcharge to get the meet and greets and the food and the drink and the early entry and so forth. So that side of it was pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie. Would I do that again? If ticket prices keep going the way they are, probably not. But as hey, we really don't do a lot of family vacations. That was an experience. It was pretty cool.
Well, it's definitely not going to be one that your daughter forgets anytime soon. Like being able to go there, meet the superstar, especially that was her second event because you guys went to like a SmackDown in Buffalo or something, right? And then Elimination Chamber. So
Yep.
her second event, already meeting superstars, gets to go to a PLE, an Elimination Chamber PLE at that. So you get to see two chamber matches. Like that's a hell of an experience. Let alone for you. Like I'm sure you were over the moon about it too, especially as wrestling has kind of come back in the forefront, but your daughter must have just been loving life.
And I'll tell you, the thing I took away is I'm sitting there. My wife and daughter walked off to go get food or something there, and in the background, the entire time they're playing wrestling themes, and not just current ones. Like I'm sitting there, and the Bushwhackers theme comes on, and I'm like, damn it, I need somebody here who's going to appreciate this as much as I do, because my family doesn't know any of these old themes, and actually a couple came on that I just couldn't place. I didn't recognize them. I'm like, man, this sounds like I'll say like a Jim Johnston era, kind of you're up to when did he leave, 2019 ish. He left. So it's like, it could have been anywhere in there. I'm like, it's got that same kind of guitar sound to it, but I'm like, I don't know who this is. I just know it's a theme. But then some of the fun ones come on, and you're like, nobody here is appreciating this as much as I am.
I
This is
heard
great. Like,
a theme the
put
other
this on a
day.
radio station. I'll listen.
Sure, yeah, yeah. I heard a theme the other day. I think I was listening to music on some app. I don't remember what it was, but I think I played like it was either CM Punk's very old song, like his original, or it was Randy Orton's song before Voices. I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what they're called now. But I did that and just randomly it started playing off of like a WWE playlist. And I listened to the oddities. If you remember the oddities from back in the day, that
I
yeah,
do.
that their theme song. And I was just like, I for like 4 seconds, I was like, why do I know this? And I was like, oh my god, it's the oddities. I very surprised that I remember that theme. They weren't around that long, but it's a distinct theme.
ICP, man. That's
Yeah.
that's they at least had it had an identity, which,
And,
not to go on too much of a tangent, is very evident in something like the Rumble.
oh yeah.
I couldn't tell you who half the people were until I saw their name on the Minitron or whatever it's called today. Like, I don't know whose music that is. Like, oh, that's that person. Okay,
Yeah, they definitely have a bit of an
it's really missing.
identity crisis when it comes to their music. Although some of them have bangers, like, and they absolutely have bangers. But then everybody else, if you're not like a super, like a big level superstar, yeah, you kind of fade into where everybody else. And especially the Rumble is a definite telling sign. You remember back in the day when we watched the Rumble, you knew the second a music hit who it was. Like instantly, you knew somebody was coming out, and you knew this. Yeah, you watch the Rumble now, and there's like, I want to say it was 8 or 10 times where I had to wait until the name showed up before I was like, oh, it's that person. And I've been watching now. I kind of got back into it like a year, 2 years ago, where I was watching consistently, especially because when I went to WrestleMania 40, so I felt like I was pretty up on them, but apparently I just, yeah, when the Rumble starts, you hear that and someone's coming out, and you hear music, you're like, who the fuck is that guy? Oh, it's that person. Or I'm notorious, I guess, for not watching NXT except for like their PLEs, and they bring those people out, and I was like, I don't remember these people. I used to love NXT, the verse version of it, the black and gold version with Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Neville, and all those people. I used to watch it religiously, like every week, and all their PLEs and everything. And then since then, I've just moved on to the regular stuff. But now they have their people, and they're actually really good. But I don't pay attention to their themes, and they're all generic too. So when they come out for the Rumble, it's like a big deal. Except I'm like, yeah, who's that guy?
Yeah, I again, not to break too much of a tangent. I did watch a few Jim Johnston interviews lately because I do miss some of his work. Not to say that he was perfect. He did have a few misses, yeah, a bunch of misses, not just a few. But hearing him talk about his process on how he did themes and how things today are just like, oh, here's a song, who does it fit? Versus let me make something for this person,
Yep.
is very evident. yeah, again, not your main stars. Again, if they get like honestly, if you took away a couple of the opening quotes from people, if you took away the quote from Tiffy's music, where it's Tiffy time, if you took
Yeah.
that away, I probably couldn't tell her music.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason there's her quote. Okay, I know who that is. And then it goes into, again, generic diva theme number 723.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel that where it's like, oh, yeah, it's just missing that oomph.
Yeah, Jim Johnston was crucial for our time for making most of the bangers back in the day. And I don't know if he's just been making the rounds, but I saw a couple of interviews of him too, and talking about specifically how he broke. Like I think he talked about DX one time and talked about how he did it, and then also talked about um, not doing it anymore for WWE. And he's also one of the people. I don't know what falling out they had, but I don't believe he's in the Hall of Fame. Not that their Hall of Fame means much, but I'm very surprised he's not. Like he's very influential for nearly everybody in the Attitude Era's music, like being bangers. Like they used to release soundtracks and used to sell really well because they were bangers. Different times.
Yeah, it's it sounds like it was I guess politically is not the wrong word, but business related politically. Different people came in, wanted to bring their own people in, maybe didn't like the way he did things, so he was kind of forced out. I get it. That happens in business. It's not a personal thing. Usually, it's just how new manager comes in, they want their people, and
You'd think though
it
that
is what it is.
you look at like CM Punk, who not forced them, but basically made them pay in living color so they could have that theme music. You look at Cody Rhodes, who was like, if you want me, you got to take them too, and like pay them for my entrance theme. Um, so I'm surprised that nobody, especially that grew up in the Attitude Era, kind of went like, "Hey, this is who I want to make my music," even if it's just a one-off. Um, of just going like this guy, and even going to him yourself and being like, "Hey, I'd like you to come up with a theme music for me. I'll pay you for it regardless. And if WWE uses it, then we'll figure that out. But what do you have for me? This is my character. This is where I see myself going. Like, what can we do?" Um, I'm surprised nobody after all these years has kind of done that. Like, he left in what 20? Would you say 2018, 2019?
Had to be. I know the last thing he did was for like Baron Corbin.
Yeah,
Um,
Baron
this is like
Corbin.
end of days or whatever.
Yeah, it was a very good theme. A very good theme.
And that was like the last. I don't remember when. That was when they were still releasing stuff on iTunes. So I think it was pre-pandemic, but it was probably pretty close. So I'm gonna say 17, 18, 19, somewhere in that, like give or
Yeah.
take.
So what about the like? Where were you guys sitting for the Elimination Chamber? Is it in like its own separate box? Were you guys on the floor?
So we would have been. So it's a baseball stadium. So we would have been sitting in what for a baseball game would have been the lower part of the stands.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was like third base side or whatever would technically, but we were pretty low. We weren't on the floor, but we were probably about the next section of seats up.
Yeah.
So we were pretty low. I mean, we could obviously see the floor and probably could have thrown a baseball at it. So
So did
close
you
enough.
feel like it was? I know what you said that it's only like a little bit more, which some of them, yes, are depending on because ticket prices and everything else. Did you feel it was worth it? Like overall, even though like, hey, it's probably not going to be something we do every time, but did you feel like the money that you spent was worth it for the food, the drinks, especially unlimited drinks? That's crazy. We drink them out of the place. But the drinks, the separate entrance, the photographs, and then the seats themselves. Do you feel like it was worth it?
I think so. In the end, it did. There was a value add to it. I don't want. I guess I would have to look at the credit card bill to say for sure. Again, is it something we're doing all the time? No, not at all. Right? I couldn't even say that we do this again. But was it a good time in the end? Yeah, having your own little entrance area, getting the planning, knowing that we had the food there, knowing we were going to get the drinks, knowing that we were going to meet somebody, and then mystery people, right? We didn't know who the other mystery people were going to be. We were promised 3 superstars, and we ended up getting 6. So I was like, okay, and then having like, okay, now we just wander to our seats. We're already here. Let's just go wander downstairs. Um, we had plenty of, we spent plenty of money on souvenirs. That too. Another cost that probably not financially going to recover from, but that's all right. Um, no, I think it was worth it. Again, ticket prices being what they are, there's a sunken cost in there to say, okay, I know how much they're going to charge me for a beverage at Rogers Center because it's Canada and everything costs twice as much. Uh, okay, so if I had two drinks, if I had two drinks, that's probably like $40, give or take. All right. I'm probably not going to go drink, 15 drinks to make it worth it, but I'm going to drink what I can. And again, sober up during the event. So I was not having to purchase anything during the show for me. Obviously, my daughter wanted something. She needed sugar at some point because she was getting tired. I'm like, let's just get some sugar in you. Why not? But yeah, short answer, yes. Long answer, it's going to depend. If you were looking at like the 300 level and your budget was X, and you're like, oh, look, I can get these upper deck seats, and obviously it's not, get the VIP thing is not going to be in the budget, but as kind of a one time, this is our family vacation. We're not going to Disney. We're going to Elimination Chamber. Yeah, I think that was, looking at it that way, it was worth it. If this was, going to a SmackDown, we tried to get, relatively low cost, items. Okay, we got a little bit higher seat than sitting down low. We went and get the little bit cheaper hotel room just to stay overnight there. This was our family vacation, so that's probably the push it over the edge to make it worth it.
Yep, and I think that makes sense. Last year with WrestleMania was my okay, me and my buddy, okay, that's a vacation for us. We're there a week, and we knew how much the tickets were going to cost because we bought tickets to Mania Night 1 and 2, Raw, SmackDown, Hall of Fame, NXT, all of it, all combined is okay, that's the cost. And then we got there, and to be fair, I didn't want to worry about money at all, so I swiped my card a lot and then got home and was like, oh my God. All right, well, that was worth it. The greatest trip I've ever taken, but yeah, that's going to suck. That's going to put a dent in everything. But yeah, looking at it it's a one-time thing or one-time thing in a long time. Yeah, I thought it was worth it. So I'm glad that and we didn't do the priority thing. I'm thinking about, or the on location. I'm thinking about doing that the next time I go just to see what the difference is. And, but it's a one-time thing, or thinking this will be what we do this year or next year or whatever. Glad to know it was worth it for you guys, especially because I thought the event itself was good too. Elimination Chamber was a good pay-per-view. The women's match, you got to see Jade Cargill return, beat the hell out of Naomi before the match even started. You got to see Bianca Belair put on a decent performance within the chamber and get the win. You got to see the men's chamber, which was stacked. The entire field in the men's limit chamber was absolutely stacked. Got to see Cena win before he went heel. Got to see the Cena heel turn. Got to see The Rock, which again, I don't like that. The only reason he showed up is because they had low ticket sales. I don't like that at all. I like more story in my stuff, and it almost seemed like he was, if without this interview he just did, they did tie it together a little bit, and then he didn't show up to WrestleMania, so he didn't tie it together at all. And it was basically oh, we got low ticket sales, help us. And yeah, but either way, if you just take it for that moment, it was a cool moment. You got to see John Cena for the first time in years anyway, for his first run. Turn heel, kick Cody in the nuts, and then beat the crap out of him, and set up for a WrestleMania match with good guy versus bad guy. Did you guys enjoy the show from start to finish, or were there lulls in there where you guys are ugh?
I don't remember having the lulls. I think there were times where we did decide to go out to get a souvenir. Okay, hey, if we're gonna go, let's go now. And I can't remember during what we tried to time it between matches. I know we missed a little bit of something. We missed a couple entrances for some things. But I don't think we ended up missing a ton. I think when we went to SmackDown, I think we ended up missing more. We missed like a whole match at SmackDown because we went out to get a T-shirt or something, and the lines were long. But this one wasn't too bad. Everything was pretty long before the event. Before everything started, everything was pretty packed. About a match or two later, everything had pretty much died down, so you could kind of get through pretty quick. So I think we were able to kind of get in, get out during kind of the breaks and with the vignettes and interviews going on. Is mostly what we missed. And like I said, a couple entrances here or there.
Yeah. Well, that's good. All right. Well, let's move on from Chamber, which again was a good PLE, to WrestleMania, which I have. Yeah. Let's just say for weeks leading up to it, me and my buddy were talking, the one that went to WrestleMania 40 with me, and we had talked about going to WrestleMania 41 because it was in Vegas. There was talk about Austin being there, and like the card shaping up the way it was. Like I didn't really mind the card itself. There were some matches that definitely shouldn't be on the show, and we'll talk about those. But we were talking about going, and then he didn't want to go, so we didn't end up going. And this was months and months ago of talking about going. And then like as the card started shaping up, I was like, damn it, I hate you. Why didn't we go? Yada, yada. And now I'm looking at it going, no, I'm good. I'm completely fine that I did not go to this WrestleMania. It would have been cool to see Cena's last WrestleMania. It would have been amazing to see CM Punk main event for the first time. And not to mention that match was a fucking banger, which we'll talk about later. But I am okay that I did not spend the money and go to this WrestleMania. Like WrestleMania 40 was amazing, and this one was mid at best.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, which isn't what I wanted. WrestleMania 40 was that good, and then WrestleMania 41 it being a letdown kind of sucks, especially if this is like the second Paul Levesque WrestleMania. That kind of sucks, but I don't know how much of that was people getting injured, how much of that was The Rock, how much of that was just stories not connecting with people, and also the crowds being fickle, like loving Jey Uso and then immediately turning on Jey Uso as soon as they gave him the ball. So yeah, I don't know how much is what. Like, so what did you feel about the build up to WrestleMania? Were you excited for many of the matches? Were you going, well, I hope, like, because what WrestleMania was it? It was the one where Seth cashed in Money in the Bank, and I don't remember what WrestleMania that was off the top of my head.
31, I think.
Yeah, I think
that was 31.
But the build-up, I thought, of 31 sucked. But WrestleMania 31 was an amazing WrestleMania. Like, every match was a banger. And then even the match I looked forward to the least, which was Brock and Reigns, like, it was a great match with then the Seth Rollins thing happening. So I was like, me, myself, with the build, some of it was okay. Some of it was lackluster. But I was like, okay, as long as I can put a good show together, it don't matter. Like, let's just get to the show. And yeah, I didn't feel like that happened. So what about you? What did you feel about the build?
Yeah, I thought it missed the mark. There were moments. Obviously, certain matches got more attention than others. Jay versus Gunther. Feel like it almost got like it kind of peaked maybe a week or two early. And then that final week before, when Jay came out and he was all serious, I think it just kind of, maybe if he would have shifted it, but it's fine. It at least had some build. The Tiffany Charlotte one was a mess, and not in a good way, in an intriguing way, but not a good way. The triple threat, Rollins, Punk, and Reigns, that was decent. I that seemed to have a consistent story, and it kind of kept moving, so that was good. Rhodes Cena was just all over the place. I don't even know where to start with that one. But then there's so many matches that were just honestly, and not to go back to, it felt like how we ran the GWF, where it's like 2 days before an event, we have like 3 matches announced, and then we're just going to fill in the card with a whole bunch of other stuff. And they're not bad matches. There's nothing wrong with them. Some were great. Why? This
Why?
is WrestleMania. This should be either the really big blow off of something, or in a different extreme, the start of something. And some of these just didn't make sense. I liked the Intercontinental match, and it's fine. And some of the you can kind of connect your own dots on how that build was, but truthfully, there wasn't a build. Drew and Damien was a half build. Like it seemed very loosely built. They could have done so much more with that, but it just seemed, oh, he did something to me at WrestleMania last year. Then he did something to me at SummerSlam. And then these past couple weeks, we did something. Okay. Oh, I don't know. Something missing there. The Raw Women's Championship was fine. I think the title change in Buffalo, fortunately, I didn't go to that one, um, was unexpected. Uh, but it added a new wrinkle. And honestly, I think that was, if it wasn't the best match of the weekend, it was at least the second best match of the weekend. Um, Damn, the goals brought it. So, again, I thought they could have built something better. It seemed also a little convoluted at times, but it got there. So I guess that was mid. The other stuff, like the Gable and Ray Mysterio, Ray Phoenix, that didn't deserve to be there. That had no place there. That felt like a Raw or SmackDown match. Jade and Naomi were building to something, so fine. Again, it feels like it took so long to get to something that the actual build of that one was so quick. Like I don't know, it kind of started Elimination Chamber, then Naomi I think missed a week or two, and then came back. It's like okay, now we got a hyper build. Like oh, okay, we could have probably gotten there better. The tag team title with New Day, no problem with the New Day winning, no problem with them being on the card, but man, did that really kind of like come out of nowhere? Like, yeah, you guys are gonna fight at WrestleMania this week. Okay, cool. Uh, it
I'll
just
point
felt
out about that
missing.
the SmackDown's tag team titles weren't defended on the show, and they actually they've been building that thing for weeks or months with those teams. Now I think they have a TLC match Friday or something, which is great that they have this other thing planned, but that had way more of a build than the New Day getting their shot over the War Raiders. Or at least, if you want the New Day to be on the show and you want them to get their record-breaking tag team title reign, like build the story a little bit more with those two teams. Like it basically started 2-3 weeks ago, and we've been talking about WrestleMania since like it's supposed to start in January. So like, why didn't we start then of building this to like having them have a match at Elimination Chamber or the Raw before or after Elimination Chamber where, you cheat to win or something else happens and then you eventually get a title shot or you get a number one contenders match or something. They just was like, we want a shot. And then they had a shot and he hit him with a chair and like, you tried to end my career and blah, 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 blah. Like it was 1 week. Like, and we're just, you guys get a match at Mania. It feels like because what was it, a couple of years ago whenever they started like the 2 nights of WrestleMania, it felt like most of the matches on the card like were deserved. That's why they had to do it. Or the year before that where it was one night and they just had it was like 9 hours of wrestling because everybody wanted to be on the card, so they broke it up into two. Now it feels like, we got 2 nights, we gotta fill some airtime. So who do we throw on there? Which some of them, yes, absolutely deserved and everything, but a lot of the other ones it felt like we need filler here, so let's throw on these people. Or I want to showcase them at WrestleMania. Great, but it's really weird to do that and give up either time or a spot to somebody that has no build. And I have to imagine that the wrestlers too themselves, besides for the fact of, ooh yeah, I get to compete at WrestleMania, like they'd rather have something that more they can sink their teeth into. Look at you think Kofi probably preferred Kofi Mania's story that came out of nowhere, only because what's his name, Ali got hurt during the Elimination Chamber, so Kofi went in and everybody got behind Kofi, and then he had this build of like a month and a half to Kofi Mania to defeat Daniel Bryan for the title. Like, how are we not able to do that? There's so much time on TV. On Raw, there's 2.5 hours since it went to Netflix. SmackDown is 3 hours. There is plenty of time to build these stories, and it just it didn't seem like they did it for about half of the ones that are on the card, and the other half were just like, that's good enough. Let's throw this on.
I mean, even look at the US title, right? Like that was so much of that build was Braun versus Fatu,
Yeah,
right? That Monster versus Freak. Actually, that was a good build. And then, oh, the winner's getting a US title shot. Like, okay, you had absolutely no build with LA Knight himself, who's the damn champion. You had these two monsters going after each other, which was great because they were kicking the shit out of each other. But then to say, oh, now you're done, you get the US. I don't want to have yet another triple threat, right? Like it feels very E-Fed like where we're just tossing triple threats to put people in places. There was enough triple threats going on already with one each night. But man, it almost felt like just put Braun in there too.
yeah,
Like, I don't know. At least then you would have had two monsters going at it that have something going on. And you could say, oh, they equally deserve this, even though there's LA Knight just feels like the afterthought in that match. But that was the build. That was like every week. It's like, okay, you guys are fighting. Oh, you guys can't keep your noses out of each other's business. Oh, now you're going to fight in a last man standing. Now you're the number one contender. Like, okay. And now it's like, that was Friday. Like,
yeah,
great. It's like next week is WrestleMania. Oh, fantastic. Cool.
yeah.
Again, I had no problem. Like, okay, I want to say I had no problem. There were a couple matches that were kind of meh, but I don't think anybody worked bad. I don't want to say anybody didn't deserve their spot in there. I thought they were fine. It's just, yeah, when you have this many matches and it's like so many of them just feel thrown together last second, it's hard to, as a fan, get behind it in any way. Like I sitting there and I don't feel anything for this match. Cool. Let's watch. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, I think back, like, my favorite WrestleMania of all time is WrestleMania 17. It'll always be my favorite of all time, with Rock and Austin and everything. But I went back and I watched that WrestleMania, I think last year, and just every match just had so much at stake. It felt like it meant something to be on the WrestleMania card, and it meant something to whether a title was on the line or not. Like, there are tons of matches throughout the WrestleMania where it's literally just about pride. You have this blow off feud, or you just have who's better on this night, and it needs to be one of us. And you can build a feud around that, but it gets you to WrestleMania, and then you have that match that needs to show up for it. And yeah, there was a lot of matches that I was just like, I'm watching it because it's WrestleMania, but this could easily be like there was nothing special about it that could put it on, should put it on WrestleMania's level.
yeah, I think we obviously had the friend chat group, you know, the real Kevin, not the fake Kevin, and Bill and stuff. A little Facebook chat that we've had going for years now, and the couple messages that we sent across, like it feels like a solid Raw. Like that's not bad, but it's WrestleMania. It shouldn't feel like a good Raw. That's not what I'm here for, right? Like, eh.
Well, if you take away some of the matches and you moved WrestleMania back to one night, you might have a solid WrestleMania. Like a start to finish solid WrestleMania with some of those matches that are on there. You take the triple threat, the other triple threat, even the Cena, which we'll talk about, the Cena Rhodes, at least the build, there was at least some build there, especially the Cena promo. Cena is fantastic on the microphone. Like, you could say whatever you want about him in the ring, but on the microphone, I don't think there's a single person that touches him right now, especially as a heel. He just has so much to pull from when he's saying the shit that he says, and it all is logical. When he's calling out the crowd for some stuff, it's really well done. The match itself, that's a whole other thing. But so you have that match, you have the two triple threats, you have the Tiffany Stratton match, you have the maybe the IC title match on there too, because they were building it, and that's four, you know, good wrestlers that are. I mean, the IC title should always be defended at WrestleMania. So yeah, you put it on there, and then God, there's another match. I'm blanking on what it was. Um, that was just another like solid match. So then you got a card that's like 6 matches long. Maybe you throw another one in there, but otherwise you're good to go, and you have a solid WrestleMania from start to finish with builds and good matches. And it just don't get me wrong. Last year, I loved the idea that there was 2 nights of WrestleMania. I got to do one night of WrestleMania and have a blast, and then know that I'm going tomorrow and doing it again. Like I love that aspect of it. But yeah, it just feels like it was not everything was WrestleMania
Like even
quality.
the women's tag team title match, right, came together 2-3 weeks before. They announced that, hey,
that.
on Raw we're gonna have a little we're gonna, or actually it was on SmackDown, we're gonna have what, it was a gauntlet match or something like that,
Yeah.
right? And hey, the winner is gonna be the number one contender, and you're gonna have a match at WrestleMania. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
It was like 7 days or 8 days before the
okay.
event. Yeah.
And I mean, if you want to, okay, so then now seeing what happened, if you want to say, okay, this is a vehicle to get Becky back in a storyline, okay, why couldn't that match have happened on Raw? Becky returning on Raw, and then it's what happened on Raw happening the next week.
Yeah, could have happened.
Doesn't change anything.
No.
Right? So, she returns on the Raw after WrestleMania because you still have the big WrestleMania crowd.
Yeah.
You're still going to get a great reaction in a smaller venue. It'll sound that much bigger because it's a hockey rink, not a football stadium. Okay, and then the next week you do your little schmaz crap that you did this week. Get your rematch, get your title. Okay, belt switching twice in 2 weeks, fine. I guess it's better than twice in 2 days. But that aside, okay, so take that match off. Give the other matches time to breathe. Have more in between. I'm fine with the 2 days. And so some of these matches can stay. But what if you got rid of 2 or 3 of them that just they don't make sense? Put them on Raw or SmackDown. And you know what? In these places, we're going to give some extra time to these other matches. Let them breathe. We can do more promos in between. We can do little interviews with the people. But listen, this gives you chunks of time. This gives you 20, 30 minutes of time back that you could do a little backstage interview with somebody. You could show another promo video, maybe build something a little bit, give something that last push over the edge that it might need, or give them extra time to somebody else during a match. Geez, would we have liked to seen Io, Bianca, and Rhea go an extra 5 minutes? Maybe, because they were tearing the fucking house down.
Yeah, they fucking were. There was
right,
no
or say
better match to start a show, but it was the worst match to start the show because of how much of a banger it was.
Or even Jay and Gunther, like, okay, could you have given them an extra 5 to 10 minutes and maybe done something a little more oomph? Right. Again, so I'm fine with the start. I'm fine with the result, but it just.
Yeah. So let's jump into the matches themselves because we're talking around it, so we might as well like break down each one because the first one that they started WrestleMania with was Jey Uso and Gunther, and the build to it, I agree with you. I think that when he beat up Jimmy Uso, I think it should have been the week before WrestleMania, and then the week after Jay can come out and say he's not scared and yada yada yada, and they can do that promo face to face, and then 6 days later they have WrestleMania and they face each other. I think that would have been better than having a week. And not to mention, he's supposed to be taking this shit seriously, and then so he comes out and he doesn't do his yeet thing a couple times, but the crowd is still doing it, and then he stands there and then makes them play the music again. Like, that's not very visceral. That's not very anything of like, you're supposed to be taking this more seriously. You shouldn't even come out to music. Like, it should literally be a beeline to the ramp and like
come out the ramp.
Yeah.
Right? You want to be serious? Hey, I'm not going to go play in the crowd this time. I know it's my thing, but I'm being serious. I'm going to come out from the back to show them I need to focus. I don't know. That's just me. I'm nobody. I've never been in wrestling. I've never done anything near wrestling. I've just watched it for 30 some odd years. Jesus Christ, it's been that long. But that's just, yeah, okay. You want me to do something serious? Then I gotta show that I'm serious. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish they did that better. And then the match itself, it was fine. It wasn't anything major, but he Gunther said he was going to make him bleed like he did his brother. He didn't even come. He didn't even try. Like there wasn't that aggression that I was expecting out of this match, especially being the first one out of the gate. Um, I was expecting much more, and honestly, I was expecting Jay to make him bleed. Like that was the I figured the whole point is to, show him like I can be this level as well and kick the crap out of you and still win, and then you can go back to yeeting all you want. But it wasn't there. It felt very lackluster for the match itself. The finish, I didn't mind the finish of making him tap. I don't like that he taps so quickly, even though I know he's a heel, but it's Gunther who has proven that he can get through stuff. I don't like that he taps so quickly. I also would have, I know it's a heel thing. It's better if he taps out if you're a heel and you want to be a shit heel, but there's something about if he would have like passed out, like he should have been like reaching up trying to rake Jay's eyes or something, and the referee's yelling at him, and Jay, while he's got a finger in his eye, is tightening it more or whatever it is. Like I felt that would have been more, and that would have given more credibility, I guess, to Jay. Being able to defeat Gunther. Yeah, that match just did not hit for me. Everybody I think saw the writing on the wall that Jay was going to win, but it just didn't connect like I was hoping it would.
I felt so when he tapped, I'm like, oh, that was quick. That was as I'm sitting there on the couch. Oh, that was quick. Oh, it's over. Okay. My initial take was it was missing a beat. I thought it was fine. I get some questionable things during the match, but it was fine. It was okay. It felt like Jay went on that run. He hit like the three, like he came back and he hit the three splashes, and then he locked on the sleeper hold. It felt like that shouldn't have been it yet. It almost needed like for me, I would have liked to have seen Gunther fight his way out. Land a couple little elbows or something, get out of the hold, and just Jay get up and like almost question himself for a second. Like, oh, what do I got to do to beat? Like, I can't beat this guy. And it doesn't even need that much more, right? It just needed that beat. Take a step back, breathe for a second, and maybe just like he clicks and he's like, nope. And Gunther goes for one more thing and he locks it back on again, and then he taps right away. One of the talking heads on YouTube or somebody, like I watched enough reaction videos. Somebody made a good point in that you don't want him to pass out because that's a face thing. And then you have him coming out and say, I never tapped. Well, then he's not being heel. He has way so much credibility that now you're basically demeaning your face to say, well, you didn't make him tap. He just passed out. Like, okay, I buy that. I don't mind the tapping, but it felt like it needed that one more beat. Like, give Gunther that, like, okay, show him that he can get out of this, because he's, you're kicking out of the he got out of the sleeper hold once. He got, Jay anyway, got out of the sleeper hold once. I think he kicked out of a couple, he kicked out of a power bomb or something like that, and a couple of Gunther's, signature moves, I guess. And okay, Jay hits three splashes, locks him in the sleeper hold, and he still gets out. And again, Jay's now questioning, like, okay, can I beat this guy? And you can kind of, go in the corner and be like, frustration, show frustration on your face and in your body language. And then, Gunther can turn around and do it. Like, come on, I'm ready for it. And it could be super quick right after that. He goes for a punch and Jay sneaks behind him and locks it right back in. That's all it needed, was that one more beat, I think, to, and I don't want to say you have to protect Gunther, but it gives him that, like, okay, look, he's a beast. And you can see the doubt in Jay's face, and then he comes back and he does it. I don't know. It's WrestleMania, right? Raw, SmackDown, different story. WrestleMania is false finishes. After false finish after false finish. It just felt like, wow, this one didn't really, like, I didn't feel like this match had it. It just kind of went like, oh, there it is. It's over. Which, it's not bad. It's just fine. It's
Yeah,
just fine.
my bigger issue still is like I felt like it should have been more aggressive or more uh I don't know, when you see your brother like bloodied all right next to you and you can't do anything because you're tied up and he's rubbing the blood all over himself and he's talking about doing it to you too. And then we don't even get, not that you need to bleed, but you built it up that he busted him open and that he's supposed to do all these things. And then it was a regular match. Like it wasn't this other thing. Like it didn't ever get to the next level. I agree with you. I think that if Gunther would have got out of it and they took a beat and everything, I think that would have been a better finish. Just so it looks like he's doubting himself, but then he kicks himself out of it to be like, you know what? No, I said I can do this. I'm not afraid. Here's how I do it. And then if he locks it in again and hooks in the legs and then Gunther taps, that's fine. But I still feel like if that was going to happen and be the finish, there still should have been something else before that where there's some type of level of trying to kill this guy, which I don't think we got. I just think we got a regular match that I felt when they made Jay the winner and then they eventually announced that he was going after Gunther's title. There wasn't much aggression there in the build besides where I've already beaten you 4 times. I would have rather faced somebody else. That's more of a pride thing. And then once you got his brother involved and then you started, then you beat his brother and then you bloodied his brother. Like they added this whole other level to it that just didn't pay off at WrestleMania. Like maybe it will, especially with Gunther, how he reacted on Raw. Let's see what happens with that. Although they don't seem to be teasing that he's getting a rematch right away. I don't know. But yeah, I just expected more aggression, more visceralness, more something than what we got.
Yeah, it was again. It was a fine
Yeah,
match. That's but that's not what I want at WrestleMania.
right.
Just
Yeah, you want the be all end all.
right.
Um, all right. So next was the New Day match. We kind of already talked about that. I don't want to talk about it too much here because it's pointless. Like they got a match, and the match itself was fine. Like it wasn't anything amazing. If anything, it was not a great match, but it wasn't. It just shouldn't have been at WrestleMania for no. Yeah, it was there for no reason. I didn't really like the finish. And yeah, it just yeah was one of
I
the
get
worst
in a
matches.
vacuum. In a vacuum, if we go back and watch that match, listen, I'm shocked at some of the stuff. The War Raiders. I was gonna say Viking Raiders, but they're not that anymore. Some of the moves and stuff for these big men that they do, they're fun, right?
Yeah,
They're not what I expect from a big man team. It is not the natural disasters that I grew up with that are big and lumbering. These guys can move and they're fun to match. I'm sure if I go back and watch this match, I'm sure it is a great match. I'm sure it's fine, but would have fit right in on Raw
yeah,
or SmackDown or a non WrestleMania PLE. Would have been any one of those. On WrestleMania, it just was such a quick thing, such a quick build, and out of place.
yeah. Definitely felt out of place. Um, so the next one, I didn't feel like the build was out of place with Naomi and Jade Cargill. I didn't mind the build. Naomi as a heel, I thought was great. Leading up to it and her rationale for what she was, the rationale for why she did what she did, I liked it. The match itself wasn't good. Like it was okay, but again, Jade Cargill returns and then she beats the ever living hell out of Naomi at the chamber and then slams her chest or head into or slams the door of the chamber into her chest or head, and like puts her out of commission for like a week or two before she comes back. And you didn't get that level of violence or that level of hatred or that level of anything. You got a regular wrestling match and it was serviceable, but it just I love that both of them got a chance to be on the show, especially Naomi because of how many years she's been doing this, and it's like our first singles match there, like at WrestleMania. and but it just didn't. Again, similar to the Gunther thing. Like you can't have this thing like Rock and Austin when they had their feud at WrestleMania 17 and they're beating the hell out of each other every week. When they got to the pay per view, they beat the liver living shit out of each other. We're gonna talk about this match in a second, but Charlotte and Tiffany beat the ever loving shit out of each other. Even though their feud wasn't that great, like it was all over the place. And it was interesting for the wrong reasons. But the match itself, they beat the hell out of each other, and you saw like the aggression, how Tiffany chipped a tooth. But like I didn't get that with the Jade Cargill match. Like again, she's supposed to be a powerhouse, which she is. Like she caught Naomi in that suplex thing was amazing. Like she jumped off, caught her, and held her for the suplex was great. There was another one, and now I'm remembering what spot it was, but another one where she showed her power. She's great for that stuff. But the match itself, again, seemed more like a match, less like I'm gonna destroy you, and that's what they sold me on for this match. So that was a bit of a letdown.
I'm looking forward to Naomi as a heel. I think it's finally a fresh coat of paint that maybe she needed. Nothing against the Field of Glow. I'm sure she was happy being a face and getting everybody to do her, let's go, go, go. Hey, you know what? Sometimes you got to change it up. And I think, honestly, it's going to open up her to be in different stuff going forward. Maybe that she couldn't have been in before, different title pictures, different feuds. And that's great because to be honest, I didn't expect anything out of this match. And at the end, I was like, that wasn't bad. Again, another one that was just fine. But I think with this one, I went in with so low expectations. Nothing against Naomi, but I didn't know. Again, I knew Jade was a powerhouse, but I didn't know what she could do solo because she's been part of protected in a tag team for so long. I didn't watch much of her at all, anything at all in AEW. So as far as I knew, I'm like, well, this might be like Naomi really either selling for her or carrying the match. I don't know. Some of the moves, you're right. The one where she caught her and turned it into a jackhammer was damn. I think she picked her up and then she like popped her up and then slammed her down to something. Like she got her on her shoulders or something and like seated and popped her up or something like that. There was some other like power move and like damn.
Yeah.
Like damn. Like that's something. Like there's something there. Just I don't know if she works better as a heel. I don't know if it's just her, which she almost like when you look at her, she like oozes heel to me.
Yeah, definitely.
And Jade. And I don't know if she needs that. Like a heel turn might just be like money. And it just as a face, I like again, it's like I don't know, going back to the days when Ahmed Johnson was a face, right? Like damn powerhouse. It sad that guy couldn't actually like once the bell rang it was a little bit downhill but couldn't put it together. Yeah, I don't believe that's the same for Jade, but here's a powerhouse. Maybe it's just let her to go be a heel and beat the crap out of people because look at her, it looks like she could beat the crap out of anybody.
Oh yeah.
And myself definitely included. Like I'm running if I tick her off, I'm running as fast as I can. So I don't know. Maybe if the roles were reversed and Naomi was the face still and Jade was the heel, maybe it would have come off different. But again, it just you actually had one. This one actually had a story, right? Because it started in November. Again, big mystery for a while, right? And then obviously Elimination Chamber hit high gear, which I guess is a little late. It's not the worst. I mean, that was March 1st, right? So that gave you, a month and a half of a build. But yeah, if you take out like, okay, after Elimination Chamber, Naomi was gone for at least a week, maybe two. Again, I can't remember. Okay, so that burns. Now you're down to a month. And now you're kind of keeping them apart. One was, Jade got her hands on Naomi one week and beat the crap out of her. And that was the end of that. The other one, Naomi ran away. Okay, the biggest beat in that feud was Naomi talking to Bianca saying, "I did it."
Yeah,
it with shades of her, right?
I did that for the Rock.
I was just, yeah, I was actually just waiting for Naomi to break it out. I did it for Bianca. It was just like, oh yeah,
I feel like
think
they should have done that regardless. Like, I don't care. Even if
I
they're
really
not
think it
to
was
say
right
it,
there.
even if they're like, no, we don't want to say it, I would have done it right in the ring. What are they gonna do? We're alive. Be like, I did it for
Like
Bianca.
I did it for you. I did it for Bianca. Like I would have marked out for
Oh
that. I'm
yeah.
not gonna lie. That would have been great. I don't know. I get like, nothing wrong with the build. It just felt like it was flat, and the match was fine. You said serviceable. It was perfectly serviceable. There was some great shows of strength in there.
Oh yeah.
Naomi started off that match on fire and really kind of beat the crap out of Jade for a while, and did that she did the X Factor on the outside, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
Like it had moments. It just was like meh. And it is yeah.
I feel like if you go back through our podcast over the last couple times, maybe we're just old men now, where we're just like, it's fine, it's fine. But
It's
then there
fine.
are other ones that are just like, holy hell, they're bangers. Which we'll get to in a second. We'll cover a couple others, which is we already kind of talked about the U.S. title with Fatu and LA Knight. The match was what we expected. It's a SmackDown level match. Like the only thing cool was the BFT moonsault or whatever it was, where he caught him and he hit it. It wasn't perfectly landed, but it was close enough and it was good. But the match itself didn't feel like anything special. And again, part of that's probably the build because you're right. It was mostly Strowman and Fatu building it up. I honestly throw Strowman in as the guest referee, especially if he doesn't like either one of them because he wants the U.S. title and then Fatu beat the living hell out of him. Then you could even have Fatu kick the crap out of Strowman again during the match and then count the three for him. Like lift his hand up like Austin used to do. Beat up the referee and then take the hand and slap it on the mat 3 times, take the title, and then you give LA Knight the opportunity to be like, I never actually lost the title. Like he did this, yada, yada. Then you set that up. But I think they're just trying to set Fatu up as this big, big guy. So I'm sure they just wanted to have him win clean. But you have that. Then you set up more matches with Strowman. Then you can do the triple threat at Backlash with Strowman, LA Knight, and Fatu. But we didn't get that. So yeah, it felt like a SmackDown level match.
Listen, Fatu surprises me every week, and if they let him keep going, he's gonna be great. I'm not gonna like. I this guy could be money, right? I think they see that too. Obviously, the way they're pushing him, right? I felt like the U.S. title was too soon. I felt you could have extended this one out, like almost what you're saying. Like, oh, he goes to pin him and he doesn't like the count and he beats up the referee, and then he goes back to beating up LA Knight and then the match just kind of like it doesn't end, but it just kind of ends, right? And he walks away. Maybe he steals the belt. Maybe he just walks away, because they have to come out and they stop everything because he's beating up too many referees or something. I don't know.
I
Do
have
something. Make him a killer.
destroy the belt.
You know what? Not a bad idea.
Like he could have
Something.
absolutely just ruined that belt if he lost. Like if they would have made him lose because of DQ or something, destroy the belt, smash it into like a million pieces, and then you can then claim like as you're still feuding with LA Knight, like you don't have the real title anymore. They had to buy you another one because I've smashed the other one, and then when he does win the title. Not necessarily the hardcore title type of thing, but something similar. Like you have him bring the Smash title um, so that he has it. So then yeah. Just again, you show that he's a monster, like that he can't be, that he's a bit unhinged, that he's a bit this, and not to mention the power behind it. Especially if they would have done like a belt, um, like a prop belt. So he like rips off the straps or something. Like so, obviously you're not gonna do that in real life, but do a prop belt and he rips off the straps. Like not even destroy the belt like the plates, but literally just rip, and just throw it at LA Knight.
You know, you know what would be great? Rip the main plate off, and then he comes out carrying just the main plate in his teeth, like on SmackDown.
Yeah.
He's carrying the main plate minus the rest of the belt. How fun would that be, right?
Yep.
I've never seen that. Just
Right.
something stupid. This guy is off, and then not only that, because we all know that actually Fatu shows me every week that he's like way better than I kind of expected him ever to be, talent wise.
Yeah.
Okay, so now he's obviously got talent and he's obviously unhinged. What'd you just do to LA Knight? He won the US title and he lost it to Shinsuke, kind of decisively. Now he gets it back. Now he loses again, kind of decisively. Is this his peak? Is this it? Like, is that all you're doing with it? Now, how does he go back? How do you come back on SmackDown? I want my rematch. Oh, why? You just got you just got handily beat with no shenanigans at WrestleMania. Okay, I mean, I get you. It's a champions thing. You normally get a champions rematch, and I don't know how true that is, but it seems to be pretty standard. Why? What? The crowd is obviously turning toward Fatu. Like that's been building for a couple months now, where there's like, yeah, one more time, go do another moonsault. I don't know what you do with Knight now. Like you can't go back. You can't have them face it Backlash now because there's no heat.
I think they'll still fight at Backlash or like the SmackDown right before it, but I agree with you that they shouldn't. There is no heat, and it should probably be, even though he just beat Strowman, like it should probably be Strowman just so again you can show off his power as the US champion. Like, because there's nobody else really that comes to mind off the top of my head unless Bronson Reed returns, where you can kind of like show off your power against another big man, which they like to do. I mean, he could go against somebody like Carmelo Hayes that just won the Andre Battle Royal. But again, that's just going to be a big guy versus small guy, and he's just going to throw him around. And you also don't want to, and it's heel versus heel, so you don't want that. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly where they go with the U.S. title, but I mean, feel like it's going to fall
Fatu can pull off that tweener though, right? Because the crowd is turning toward him.
Yeah,
just like Dom, right? They'll cheer him. They'll cheer Fatu. Melo's got nothing right now, so I can see that. That's not terrible. And I understand that I started this whole thing off by saying that WrestleMania is usually the start of or the beginning of something. But I think the build for this U.S. title was so small. You could say that this was the start. And to say, oh, look, he rips the plate off and he just leaves. There's the start of your thing. And you've protected Knight. You've obviously made Fatu look like a complete insane person, but also completely dangerous at the same time. Now you go into Backlash. Now you have an immediate Backlash match because LA Knight's still the champion, minus the main plate, and Fatu's got the main plate. Just let him go into Backlash. It's not actually that far off. It's a pretty quick turnaround to that. It's only like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So there's an immediate match and one that at least has heat. And then you know what? Then if you want to do the title change then to let him win for reals, you know what? Good. You got a month out of it. Now you can start your next feud and decide what you want to do with LA Knight, or, judge the crowd after, right? That gives you a chance to come in to Friday and see where the crowd's at. Because I know LA Knight can do his little, points and get some crowd reaction, but how they feel with Fatu in the ring, right? Not the Las Vegas crowd, because the SmackDown before WrestleMania and the Raw after are always smart crowds, right?
Yeah.
You can't take your reaction to that. This is why Fandango got so big for like a week, and then all of a sudden the other crowds didn't give a shit because it was the WrestleMania weekend. Of course they're gonna do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
So go into a real SmackDown outside of the WrestleMania bubble. Now gauge the crowd, because that's going to be a better judge of what you can do going forward. And if on SmackDown they gravitate toward Fatu and they're cheering him more on, okay, now you can see where your crowd wants to go. Do it. Right? It's just slow down sometimes. I think it's in wrestling, just slow. Like, I know you want to burn and push and go. Sometimes you just got to slow down.
Yeah. All right, from there, we have another match that probably shouldn't have been on the card, which we talked about a bit, which was Americano, Grande Americano, whatever, versus Rey Mysterio, but Rey Mysterio got hurt, it looked like, on SmackDown this past Friday. So they replaced him with Rey Fenix, which is actually a good showing for Rey Fenix to be able to get that call up. I don't think he deserved to be on WrestleMania, but as somebody that was like, somebody got hurt, we need somebody to fill in. It was fine. Not a match that should have been on WrestleMania. I like that Chad Gable or Americano got a match at WrestleMania because I felt like he deserved one last year. But it also there was no reason for it at all. Especially as this, if they would have like done his little mass thing for the last few months, like not this last like month, but months, like back in November, December was when they started it. And he's just been wrestling everybody that's in a mask and beating them and beating them. And then eventually he's going to go after Ray. Um, then sure, that makes sense to me. If he like has a checklist and he's beating all the luchadors, even if he's calling in people that, especially now that they have AAA, which would have been great to have back then, calling in all these luchadors and beating them one by one to lead up to the final boss, quote unquote, of Rey Mysterio, I'd have had no problem with this match being at WrestleMania. But again, there was no build. There was no build at all, besides for a couple things here and there, which just didn't build the feud.
Even for Ray, there was no build.
Yeah.
Like Ray Mysterio.
Yeah.
Specific Ray. I liked Ray Phoenix. I thought he did some cool moves. I think him and Penta are going to be fun to watch.
Yep.
I think it's. I don't know how I feel about like him just debuting a couple weeks ago, and now he comes in. Now he's got a WrestleMania loss. Like, does that derail anything that was already going? Would it have been better to put Dragon Lee into that spot just to know that he was going to lose? Maybe. Again, not that I think there's anything that Dragon Lee deserves to have a WrestleMania match either, but if you knew, hey, I need a replacement and this was going to be the outcome, would it have been better to have him lose? And that way Ray Phoenix can keep going whatever he's doing on SmackDown going without a loss.
I will say though, it's
I don't know.
A painted loss because of the metal plate in the head, which I actually do not mind that they're using that as his finish thing. I think that's very clever of them to do that. But I mean, I hate when any WrestleMania match doesn't have like a good ending, and anything that you cheat for WrestleMania, I always hate, especially if someone's been like, they know he's been doing this for weeks of putting the metal in the thing, but nobody has come up with a game plan for it. It was one of my issues. I loved Roman Reigns when he was the tribal chief and like was winning everything, but at a certain point you're like, okay, it's the exact same formula every time. Like, we have a back and forth match, he gets the upper hand, and then somebody from the bloodline interferes and they win. It's the exact same match every time. So I know we're supposed to suspend disbelief, but one of those things is like, you guys are all adults here. Like, you know what he's doing, and you don't have a way to get around it. Like, if he does it the first time, great. You shouldn't see it coming. But when he starts doing it every single week, all right, what are we doing here? And it just, again, it didn't deserve to be on WrestleMania. It was a filler match for a filler match.
You sound like my wife.
About a filler match?
Well, no. During the whole bloodline thing, because again, that's when they started kind of watching around WrestleMania, and then it really kind of picked up over the course of the year, right? So every bloodline match, she was always, well, doesn't the referee know that they're just going to interfere every time? Why doesn't he do anything about it? Like, because it's wrestling.
Wrestling. My issue isn't the ref.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, my issue isn't the ref, but you got to have these people that know this, like, that are wrestlers that are supposed to be smart. Like, how do you not have a backup plan? Like, Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 39. Like, you feuded with fucking Roman Reigns. Of course that's what he did. He's been doing it every time. And then, oh, Solo hit me with this spike and I lost. Well, yeah, you fucking deserve to lose. Like, what do you mean? You literally watched it happen for the last X amount of years. Like, that's what he does. How do you not already have somebody in your corner? Which, granted, I will say, they did an amazing job paying that off at WrestleMania 40. Because then you did have Jey Uso, and then you had John Cena, and then you had The Undertaker. So there was like, and Seth Rollins. So there was a person for every single person. So I was fine with that. It was a good payoff there. So that one at least made more sense. But God, WrestleMania 39 annoyed me for the ending just because it's the same one we've seen 100 times. But anyway, so let's move on to the two better matches on the card, which was a match I wasn't expecting to be that good, and I don't know if technically it was that good because there was a bunch of botches, but the level of aggression in this match between Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte sold me on the match. I was all in for it. It looked like they were beating the hell out of each other legitly, and they probably did a few times. Um, and I was fine with this match being um, the co-main event. And yeah, I had no issue with it. I thought the right person would. I'm glad they did not just give it to Charlotte, which I thought they might. Um, I also think that Tiffany Stratton is a better heel than a face. Um, like she's the pretty girl, I'm better than you type of person, but she just got such good fan reactions. And then Charlotte got booed out of the in water at the Royal Rumble because I know they wanted her to be a face, but Charlotte's not ever going to be like a legit face unless something happens with Ric Flair where you're just like, dude, you're the biggest heel of all time, but you're kind of great. So we're just going to cheer you because you've been doing this forever and we love you. Maybe Charlotte gets to that level, but I don't know. I feel like everybody feels like she's forced down their throats and um, they're just gonna boo her, and she's very egotistical. Not that she shouldn't be, but she is. So you're gonna boo that. So, but either way, the match, I liked it. I liked again that physicalness that I didn't even think this match would bring is what I wanted with the Jey Uso match. It's what I wanted with the Jade Cargo match. Like it felt like a fight. And now there's ways to do that where you're not knocking people's teeth out, but it didn't. This felt like the fight, and yeah, I was good with it. It was like a 15, 20 minute match, and I liked all of it.
My initial reaction was, "Wow, that was terrible." I'm not, I'm not gonna lie. It was. You're right. It had the aggression, and you knew that was coming based on the all the crap that built up to this, right? The video side by side interview, then the face to face interview, and everything that went off the rails. Believe what you want of what's a work and what's a shoot. I don't know. I will never know. I don't care. I'll just see what I see on TV and make my own judgments. To me, they needed to pick a lane. Either they're going to come out and have a super aggressive match, or they're going to come out and have a cute match with a bunch of reversals and spots that I don't know if they had the chemistry to pull off, but spots they tried to pull off. Again, maybe if they would have had some more time working together, maybe if they didn't seemingly feel through the screen like they actually hated each other. There were a couple times they went for some weird, cute reversals. Kind of did a little chain thing, and like it didn't work. I know there was something in the corner where she tried to like roll over her back, so it looked clunky.
It did.
And it's like, well, just don't do that. And then Charlotte did the off the top rope, whatever she calls it, something elegance or whatever the heck it is. And kind of like a bulldoggy kind of move. It mostly missed. It looked like to me anyway. Again, if you want to go have a super aggressive, just beat 'em up women's match, I'm all for it. Especially when those aren't the girls that you'd expect to do it. Like if you had Rhea and Becky at a match, you'd expect them to throw hands and probably land a couple of potatoes. Probably not in Charlotte and Tiffany. You'd probably expect them to work all a little cutesy bootsy. But damn, if they wanted to come on and have a banger, let them go have a banger. But then don't try to do the cute stuff in the match too.
So
Pick a lane.
Pick a lane
to me, it just felt like a mess.
Perfect analogy of pick a lane. But the only reason I liked it is because when it got physical, and I think I might have also been like, how did this Jey Uso Gunther match not get that physical? How did this Jade Cargill Naomi not get that physical? And then I finally got one that got physical, and I was just like, yeah, okay, let's beat the hell out of each other. Let's do it. And I agree. There was because I was messaging my buddy too, who was watching it. He's just like, there's a lot of botches. I was like, I know, but she just punched her in the face. And I'm pretty sure that was real. So I'm okay with this. Like, let's see what they got.
I would rather have seen more of that. Don't go in the corner and try the flippy stuff. You don't need to. You didn't even need to go to the top rope at all until the finish, right? Like, just throw hands. Go outside and land a chair shot. Go throw her into the stairs. Bang her face on the table. Do the spots that you'd see the next night from Drew and Damian. Do those, minus the tables and stuff. Do it on the outside and whatnot. Just beat the crap out of each other And then at the end, you could do your top rope. And that's the only cutesy little move you had to do. You don't have to make it pretty,
Right.
especially if there's actual heat. And I think again, it was like, man, it's like you guys got something brewing. But then you tried to like go back and do your little spots that you kind of planned out beforehand when you could have just called an audible and said, screw it, we're just going to beat the hell out of each other. And
Yeah.
I think that would have been
So I think part of
better.
that issue though is I think there is some real heat there, and it's not like so. You look at Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins, where there was heat there, like legitimate heat, and yet they were still able to work matches and like trust each other. And then you look at CM Punk and Seth Rollins, who there is some heat there, and they're able to trust each other in the ring. I don't think there's that trust with Tiffany and Charlotte just to do it. Not to mention, Charlotte goes into business for herself a lot, as we've seen over the years. The whole thing where she's supposed to switch titles with, I think it's Becky, and they're supposed to just hand each other the titles. That's what was in the script, and it getting turned into this big old thing. And then the promo on SmackDown, which started the going off the rails, and then talked about marriages being divorced, talked about your man sliding into my DMs, all that stuff. Like at that point, I'm sure that trust was gone. I'm sure they probably had one, but I don't know how legit it was about a conversation of, okay, now we're going to go have this match. But whoever is the booker of that match, how do you not go? How do we not take this and turn it into, okay, no one's going to expect you guys to do this. You guys are two beautiful ladies. Okay, go punch each other in the face. Like, let's not do a lot of wrestling moves. Let's just be as physical. Let's slam their head into the corner. Let's slam it on the outside. Let's do it off the announce table. Let's do it off the steel steps. Let's do it off the barricade. Let's hit those, some don't punch her, but punch her a little bit more than you normally would, and that type of stuff. And then especially for Charlotte, how are we not overly attacking the legs? Like Tiffany should be punching you in the face, and you should just be attacking that leg constantly. There was nothing wrong with the leg, but if you know you want her to tap, then why are we not just focusing only in on that and making it again? You can drag them outside, slam their leg on the what is it called? The steel post. You could have put it on something and hit it. There's so many things that you could do over and over and over to make it look more physical. And it was a physical match, but at least it would have made sense. They would have picked their lane. Like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're gonna do. And I agree. It was a bit all over the place, but I enjoyed the physicalness, and it's not what I expected. Well, it's kind of what I thought.
What they should have done.
Right.
Well, what they should have done. I'm going to tie it all together for you. Watch this. Watch this logic here. What did they celebrate at the Hall of Fame?
Oh, you're talking about the double turn?
WrestleMania 13.
Yeah.
No, WrestleMania 13.
That's the double turn.
Austin.
Yeah, it's the double turn.
Right? Yeah. So, but more specifically, the match, right?
Oh, yeah.
We just celebrated what was a great match. Now, granted, is Tiffany on either of those levels? No, not today. Maybe she's been in the business for a few years. So, you know what? Give her 10 or 15 years. Maybe she gets there. Is Charlotte there? Listen, Charlotte's proven herself time and time again. She has a lot of talent.
She needs the right partner to really bring out her being her best self, which is, again, Austin, I feel like anybody could watch an Austin match and have a good time, but he's never going to have a banger match unless he's with the right partner, like The Rock or Triple H. Charlotte's same thing. Like she needs a Becky, she needs a Sasha Banks, she needs a Bayley that's going to boost her up, and Tiffany's not there yet.
But if I'm a producer and I can sit both of them down and say, look, hi, you're both adults and you're both paid very well. And Charlotte, you're the veteran in this situation. So I'm looking at you right now to help me lead this match. I want to put together a match. Granted, it's not going to be a Hall of Fame level match, right? No one's going to be writing home about this for the next 15 years. Okay. Let's just start there. But what I want you to do is watch this match and take notes. And these two guys in this match between Austin and Brett, and you go back and watch that match, and they don't do anything special, right? It is just a wrestling clinic. something I think Charlotte could, in the right situation, as you've mentioned, could pull off. Now, Tiffany being the less experienced person will have to trust Charlotte, and then that trust will have to be reciprocated. But I think if you could sit down and say, this is the direction we want to go with your match. Now, granted, that's somebody would have to start that discussion first. I can sit them down saying, look, we don't want you to go out there. You don't have to put on a 5-star Tokyo Dome show. You don't have to be Mick Foley jumping off things. You don't have to, you know, be Penta and Dragon Lee and do flippy stuff. I just want you two to come together and just put something solid. It doesn't need 100 reversals because you two can be good wrestlers. So just do that. And I think with the heat that was already built, you throw a couple stiff shots in there. I think you would have had your level of violence that you were looking for between them, minus the botches, and it could have just come together just so much simpler, right? Just simplify, cut away the garbage, especially, again, nothing against Tiffany, but she's not experienced as some other people in this situation would be. So maybe that should be the key to say, okay, we need to keep the matches simpler for now. Look at any Goldberg match. Did they go off the rails and do stupid crazy shit? No, they kept them simple because he was pretty much limited in his moveset for a very long time.
You remember they talked about it in, what was it? I think the Monday Night Wars, where it was Goldberg versus William Regal. Although I think it was going by Steven Regal at the time in WCW, and they literally, I think it was like his third, fourth, fifth match, and they told Regal to like go actually have a wrestling match with him, and it's probably one of the worst. Although Goldberg does have some bad matches, but he also has some bangers too. But they tell him to go have it, and Goldberg doesn't know how to wrestle. So it's not good. But when you stay in your lane and you do your few moves, or the match he had with Diamond Dallas Page at whatever pay-per-view that was, that I can't remember now, it's a hell of a match because they knew you can do this, I can do this, let's put together the match. And nobody's going outside their comfort zone, but you can still build it so everybody gets what they need out of it. And then my moves work within your moves and your moves work within my moves. And we build this story together. And that's easily what they could have done. And especially with the heat, like, I just don't think they wanted to lean too much into that heat because it wasn't what they wanted. But it was the only interesting thing about that feud. I hated that Charlotte won the Royal Rumble and then picked Tiffany for no fucking reason. It didn't make any sense. And then they started building the feud, and there was nothing there until the things that shouldn't happen happened. Can lean into that. Look at Matt Hardy and Edge and Lita. Like, eventually that came out into public, and then they leaned into it, and they had some banger matches. From the cage match to, like, an I Quit match to a bunch of things. Like, there was tons of things but they were able to be professional with one each other, even though terrible shit happened. And yeah, I just don't know if that level of trust is there for them or what. But yeah, it gave me the violence I wanted for the way they built the feud at the end. But God, did I want that for some of the other matches that were that visceral, that we didn't get. Oh well. So now let's talk about the best match on the card of night one, which I'm glad it was in the main event because it was a banger from start to finish. And then the ending I saw coming from a mile away. I saw a lot of people didn't, which I was surprised about because I felt like they spoon fed that to us. But it still worked. It still worked. It worked better than I thought it would, even though, again, I felt it was very obvious, and the setup for it I thought was completely obvious. Like, as it was happening, I knew exactly what was going to happen, but it still worked. It worked great. And the match itself was like a 30-minute match. And when you can get three people in the ring that know what they're doing, that trust each other, they can have a hell of a triple threat match. I look back at Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, and God, I don't remember who the other person was. Is it Cena? No, I don't remember who it was. It was at the Royal Rumble years and years ago, and it was a hell of a triple threat match with Rollins, Brock, and somebody else. It's an amazing triple threat match. I look back at what The Rock, Kurt Angle, and The Undertaker in a triple threat match, like there are certain triple threat matches that just go, and this was one of them. From start to finish, it had the right ending, even though the heel was the heel. Um, which then speaks to night two of WrestleMania 2, where again the last scene that we see is a heel. I'm not sure about that, um, but it was great. Like I love the match from start to finish. Exactly what I wanted, and I didn't get bored or annoyed or anything through that entire match. What'd you think?
This is what this is what I expect from WrestleMania match, right? This is it. But just this, if you want to write up a prototypical WrestleMania, this is it. Hey, he hits his finisher. He hits his finisher right after. He hits his finisher right after triple down. Okay, take a breath. Come back. Do some cool stuff. Triple down again. Great. Kick out a finisher. Kick out a finisher. Kick out a finisher. No notes. That was fun. I'm sure I could sit here and nitpick something. Or no. Yes. Did I foresee the? I fully anticipated Heyman was turning and aligning with Rollins. Didn't know how. Didn't know when. Didn't know what was gonna happen. I assumed it was gonna happen based on the events of the weeks prior. Didn't care. It worked out. Like that was, you know what? Just even the little notes. And you can see now you got three professionals in the ring now, right? Three people that absolutely know what they're doing. They have mastered their craft. As simple as Seth is just standing there, not even looking, his hand out. And Heyman just walks up and like didn't turn around, didn't have to look back, didn't just stand there with your hand out. And it's just that, just like he's conducting an orchestra. And it's just like, yep, this is, yep. As much as I'm a CM Punk guy and I was, would have been happy to see him walk out. And then, you know what? It was fun. This is, it thankfully, it was at the end of this day.
My only critique is I hate interference when it's a banger of a match. Give me a winner. Give me something like that. That's the only thing, but it made 100% sense. Like with the story they were building, it had to happen. It had to. It wouldn't have made sense if it didn't. But it's such a good fucking match. There was some match, I don't remember when it was, where it was a banger and then it ended in like DQ or something. And I was just like, why? Like, it's so good. Or match that ends up with just, hey, we're going to wrestle for this long and then there's interference, which is what this was with Paul Heyman. At least this is a triple threat, so there are no DQs. So that's at least good. That makes sense for the match itself. But there's something about like I like clean finishes when it makes sense for the story. This one, if they had a clean finish, I think it would have made sense, but I feel like this was the better way to go. But when I watch a banger of a match for 30 minutes and then there's that ending thing, something always irritates me about that. But this is one of those rare instances where I was like, yeah, that's it's 100% the right call. They have so much they can do with this now, especially as we saw on Raw the night after, or a couple nights after. Like, there's so many ways to go with this for everybody involved that I'm actually excited to see where they go.
I think, again, this goes back to my rule, and I might be making an exception to my rule of this WrestleMania is the start or the end of something. This has been building since the Rumble, right? Maybe even a little bit before. I guess you could go back to Survivor Series if you really wanted to kind of.
Right, that's when the favor happened.
Seth, sure, and Seth wasn't happy about that. He was pissed that Punk joined them, and he's like, "How could you do this?" and yada yada. So yeah, okay, it goes back to Rumble. Kind of took a back seat for a little while. Like again, Seth and Punk have always been at each other since he's been back. So the little bit of banter back and forth between them, in December and whatever. That's just parting shots. Rumble again picked up speed again because of the curb stomp on the stairs and all that jazz going on, and it kind of again kind of a little wave at Survivor Series, little ripples throughout the next another big wave, and then it just kind of picks up speed. This was a build. This is how it's done. You should have done this with more matches. They don't all need the twist fun ending like the the Heyman thing. They can some can just blow off. Some of this could end it, right? He's like, okay, cool. We did our build. We got our match. We all walked out. Let's do something else. This had a build. This had a great match. You had three people obviously know what they're doing in the ring, and they're very good at it. I'm not gonna say they're all best in class, but they're damn close. If not, again, could you critique spots in the match? Sure, I'm not gonna because I had fun watching it.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was great, and especially like for being the end. Like, there's a reason that certain things are in the main event. This was a main event. Like, yes, could this match have been on anywhere on the card and still been the banger? Yep, but it's a main event for a fucking reason, and these three brought it.
Oh, and I went off on a tangent. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I think this is the beginning of their end. I guess this is the rare exception that I could say. Maybe this is the middle. Because this didn't end it. But damn it, Heyman jumping in certainly extended it. And obviously, your actions on Raw certainly extended it. Does this go into just Backlash? Does this go into SummerSlam? Does this build all the way to Survivor Series even when maybe you have two teams on either side again? I don't know, but damn, looking at it right now, it could. I'll watch this all year if they want to keep building this stuff up. I'm until November if they got time.
It all depends on how they do it. You look at what they did with Drew and Punk. Granted, Punk was injured, but they built that feud beautifully to eventually having the strap match and then the blow off Hell in a Cell, which was an amazing match.
If they want to start building this, to be honest, if they want to build this for the entire year, right? Like, okay, maybe you do something at SummerSlam where it's like a, 2-on-2. Let's pretend it's, just after Raw and I don't know anything else that's going on. So let's just pretend, let's just go to SummerSlam and it's 2-on-2. Okay, then you go to Survivor Series and they each put teams together. Okay, Survivor Series is technically where we're saying it started, but then maybe you take it to, okay, maybe there's a title belt involved at some point. You take it to WrestleMania one more time and you do round two. And the three of them are at odds again, and you finally have a victor minus Heyman or something. I don't know. Like, this is one. It was nicely. It's wonderful. Probably watch Rollins versus Reigns versus Punk. You can interchange these guys now for the next little bit. I don't mind. I'm on one bit because they can all go, and I'm good watching it.
Yeah, same, completely. All right, let's move to night two, which it sucks that we have to talk about probably the best match of the night, definitely, and it's competing with, if not, is the better match between the other one. I think it's the better match itself because there wasn't the interference ending, but I think the story behind the Punk Reigns Rollins match is much better. But so we get to the women's world title with Io Sky versus Bianca versus Rhea Ripley. And yeah, these three absolutely destroyed the house and brought it down and was an amazing finish. My only critique with the finish is they did it again a few matches later in the Intercontinental title match. I wish that one of those matches would have been on night one at least. Especially I feel like if you could have put the Bianca match on night one and then Dom sees that night two, and then he does that and can say yeah, I saw that happen, so I did it. I feel that's very heelish too. Of being I know that if Finn does this, I'll be able to sneak right in and jump off and hit the frog splash. That's my only critique about the finish, but I love the finish. But if you just capsulate this match with nothing else, I love the finish. It was great, and especially because it fits perfectly with their story of Io being an afterthought. So you got Bianca and Rhea destroying each other, and then Io comes in, hits her move, pins, and hits the 3 count. Loved it. The entire match was great, and it's really hard to talk more about it. Last year, Io versus Bayley did nothing for me. But Io has been on a run, at least for me, of watching her with these matches with Rhea, with the matches with Bianca, where I'm just okay, that's very good. Obviously she's foreign and she doesn't connect with me with her promos. Her promos are fine. They're very babyface right now, but they're nothing I can really sink my teeth into. But I can sink my teeth into her saying I'm not the afterthought. Pay attention to me. I'm the women's world champion, and you guys are both going to be in this match with me, and I'll take on all comers, and then wins the way she did. Yeah, loved it. I thought it was great, great from start to finish.
Great match, great spots, no notes. I could watch it again. Like
Yeah,
sitting there watching it, texted the buddies. I'm like, wow, that was at the time like that was way better than anything yesterday. Again, with the triple threat main event, being in there, but it's just at watching it at the time, like, wow, that was actually great. Like just wonderful. And Io winning, she deserves it. She's a hell of a talent. Yeah, yes, the English as a second language is tough. She can't go out there and rattle off a promo like Bianca or like Rhea can. You can see that even like on Raw. You can see the English is broken. It's tough, but could definitely get some point across. And maybe the inflections aren't right, or maybe the message is kind of crude because she doesn't have all the words. But Jesus Christ, watch her in the freaking ring, and she is. And it's funny because we started off talking about this and how just height wise, I'm like, oh, she's shorter than my wife, and she's almost as tall as my daughter, and she was in that ring, and she brings it every time. Io deserves it. All three of them are wonderful. Run it back, do it again at Backlash. I say, just let them go again. It's great.
I also wouldn't mind her being like the guest. I mean, they already did that with Bianca earlier, but I wouldn't mind her being a guest referee where it's Bianca versus Rhea for the number one contender spot. Like I'm a big advocate. I don't like when people just get handed title shots. They need more number one contenders matches that mean something during pay-per-views. Like you set up, there were so many back in the day when we were kids where it meant something. Even the Intercontinental title would have like on a pay-per-view a feud between two guys that want the title while the title's being defended by somebody else, and you go have a match and you have a number one contenders match, and then it leads to the next pay-per-view. They don't really do that as much, if at all, anymore. And I wouldn't mind them just it being Bianca versus Rhea for the number one contender spot, and then let Io face the winner at Money in the Bank or something. Like, she doesn't have to defend at
I mean, you almost have to set. I mean, number one contender matches are tough, right? Because if you do them too late, there's no build. We saw that with WrestleMania. They did so many of them, 2 or less weeks before WrestleMania. And there's you're a number one contender. You're gonna have a match. Great, go. Especially with Backlash right around the corner, right? Backlash is I think it's maybe 3 weeks, right? It's not very far out.
Yeah, 3 weeks from WrestleMania.
So you don't have a lot of time to say, oh well, obviously you just had Raw. We already had one Raw. Well, you can't almost go out. Well, next week we're going to have a number one contenders match, and then you have a week to build. Like, all right.
I'm saying the number one.
In this case, maybe because you're choosing to say.
Like,
sure, no, right, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. You almost have to build it before, so it's almost like you need to be building that next person in line before this feud's over. Now, in this case, since you're choosing the same people, and you're gonna maybe run it back, maybe just one-on-one, and then somebody's gonna come out and they're just gonna sit at ringside and maybe do commentary because why not? Okay, maybe it could work because you really don't need more of a build. You just built it for a couple months now. You're just kind of extending that.
I thought of something. So let's do a triple threat match, but with elimination. So it's a triple threat match again, but whoever gets pinned, they're out, and then it becomes a single match. They've done it in the past, so it's something that WWE can do. I just don't know if they will. So you get to run it back again and have another hopefully banger of a match, but then it continues. So like, let's say it was WrestleMania. She pins, who'd she pin? Bianca? Or did she pin Rhea? I don't remember who she pinned, but she pinned one of them, and then the match continues. Like, then it's a singles match to continue going on. I doubt it would be a Backlash that they would do that. Like, to me, that's probably like more of a SummerSlam thing after you build it more. And then you go, hey, we're having a triple threat match. But unlike, like, especially if it's whoever didn't get pinned during the triple threat match, that's what I would be saying. Like, great, if we're going to do this match again, I don't want to get screwed because you got pinned. Like, I didn't get pinned. You got pinned. I don't want that to happen again. So if you get pinned again, I want the match to continue, and now it's a singles match.
I mean, you could even do something crazy like for, I'm not even sure what you would call it if it was a triple threat, right? You could do a triple threat 2 out of 3 falls match, right? Again, that doesn't make sense in the context because
You do a
there's
best of
more falls.
series.
But sure, you could maybe best, best. What I'm thinking is you end up basically running a triple threat match and then somebody gets pinned. Okay, they got, one check mark. Oh, next person gets pinned. They got another check mark. Then the final person gets pinned. Now they each got one check. Well, next pin wins, right? So you can kind of go through a few different phases of the match where it's not like, oh, here's the ultimate finale and there's the pin. You build toward that. So you can do, you're not technically eliminated. So technically you're keeping all 3 in the match, but you can build toward, oh, every competitor got a pinfall. Now we enter sudden death. Next pinfall wins. Now you take it home. And
So,
just to extend that.
something that I've never seen, and to be fair, the only reason I'd want to see this is because of how much of a banger of a match they had. Um, Triple threat Iron Man. They wrestled for 15 minutes. So what if we do? Because usually the women's one they did a 30-minute one. Like that's what they did with Sasha and Bailey. They did like a 30-minute Iron Woman match. Um, you could run that match for 30 minutes and then have them each like potentially get a pinfall, or do it so that nobody gets a pinfall and then at the last second somebody gets one, or sudden death or whatever. Because that could be doable too. Again, something that would again not no, it wouldn't be a backlash. It wouldn't be at, or I wouldn't assume be a backlash or Money in the Bank. It would have to be like a Survivor Series or a um, SummerSlam type of thing.
SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on from that match, which sucks because it was probably the best match of the weekend, if not at least just that night. Um, Another match I actually liked it, minus the build, which was Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. The right person won. Drew won, which is I'm glad with. Drew has been amazing on the microphone and still performs in the ring like there's no tomorrow, which is so surprising. Remembering Drew McIntyre as the chosen one, and then the 3-man band, and now to see him come back, go on his heel run, and then eventually have his face run where he got to win the title at Mania for in front of nobody, to then go on an epic heel run where he's right on a lot of the stuff that he says. I love the logic behind some of the heels nowadays where they're right. Kevin Owens is 100% right. Seth Rollins was 100% right. Like Roman Reigns was terrorized us for years. Why are you people now being nice to him? Oh, because he had a little bit of a change of heart. He tried to murder me with a chair. Like, what are we doing? I love that Drew McIntyre part of him too. So I thought the match was fine. They had some amazing spots in there. I loved going for old school and he getting pushed off and going through the 2 chairs, especially because I don't Priest is fine. He's not my cup of tea, but he's fine. The acting in that moment, which granted might have been real, his eyes, he looked so afraid when he got pushed. Because I caught that moment and his eyes just like, oh shit. Which again, if it was acting, perfect. If it wasn't acting, well, hopefully he's okay. But it looked great, and it was a great way to then get to the finish. I liked the match a lot. I wish it was later on in the show, just because we had that banger of a first match, and then it would have been nice to have that kind of like fun, hardcore type match a little bit later, especially with what came after. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't mind that it was the match itself for a WrestleMania match. I didn't mind. I just had a problem with the feud to get there.
Yeah, I 100%. The feud was lackluster. They had enough to build on that they tried. Okay, you had WrestleMania last year when he cashed in, and then SummerSlam and Money in the Bank and all these, the things throughout the Rumble this year. Okay, there was enough meat there. It just was. It felt rushed. It didn't give it things. I think you could have done something with the glass and the eye. Uh, when he was wearing the eye patch for a while, I think you could have milked that. You could have gone for the sympathy thing, and he did. Maybe he could have done something like, obviously not exactly, but maybe do like the Mark Henry thing where he comes out, he's like, I can't compete, and Damian being the face comes out to shake his hand, and he rips off the eye patch and beats the crap out of him, like, ha ha, I was kidding, ha ha. It was just missing a couple of those, like nothing wrong with it. It just I felt like they man, it just needs like one more of those, right?
Yeah.
One more week like that to really sell it. Match was fine. Again, the two guys can go. I think Damien's fine. He's not my cup of tea. The wife kind of enjoys him. I don't think she's a huge fan, but she doesn't hate him either. Guess it's as good as it gets right now. Um, I I don't know. To me, he's just kind of there. Yeah, I'm not saying he's bland. He's at least got some kind of character, but he's just not. I don't know. He's missed something. I don't know if he needs like a gear change like Drew went through, where okay, you got this, but can we like amp it up a little bit? And I don't know. Yeah, it was fine. I just didn't. I don't know. Nothing to write
Yeah.
home about, I guess.
Um, so then we had the Intercontinental Four-Way match, which I liked too. Like I thought it was a fine match. I agree with you. You mentioned earlier about the build. I think they did a decent job once they realized they weren't going to be able to do some of their plans that they were thinking of for a bunch of different people because they had a bunch of things written down for what they planned on for WrestleMania 41 of who was supposed to be defending what title and who was supposed to be in what match. The Judgment Day was supposed to be against like the Wyatt Six and all this other stuff that they had planned. But I thought once they figured it out and they started weaving everybody in, I don't necessarily like the idea of I get a title match, you get a title match, this person gets a title match, and then now we all get a title match in a fatal four way. I didn't really like that part of it, but I will say it at least made sense of what they were doing, and I love the interfighting with the Judgment Day, with what's going on with Liv and Dom and Finn. I hate that Finn isn't the Finn of old. I hope he's Dom is moving more towards being a face, which is weird, especially because like Finn as a face, I think is better than him as a heel, at least in WWE. He was a great heel in New Japan, but in WWE, him being a heel hasn't really hit for me. He was such a good baby face when he was in NXT with the being who he was, and then the entrances were amazing. Um, I don't know if we'll ever get back to that, but the match itself, Braun Breaker, Jesus Christ, I can't say enough. Besides, God, I wish he was better on the microphone. Which now with Raw, if he's gonna be with Paul Heyman, maybe we're gonna be great there. And he did that promo over WrestleMania weekend, copying his uncle with the Steiner math thing, which I thought was hilarious. Um, but otherwise, on the microphone, he's not great. He doesn't grip me, but my God, in the ring and everything he does, I want to watch. I want to watch as quick as he runs. I want to watch some of the moves he's able to pull off. Um, it's just a blast. And God, that spear to Carlito was a freaking torpedo missile. Was great. The double spear was fine. Like it was okay, but it doesn't do. I wish they would have done the double spear first before they did the crazy spear. Because that crazy spear just blows all the other ones out of the water. And then Carlito running away from him is hilarious to me. I hope they keep that up. I really do. But now it doesn't seem like that's probably going to happen because now he's aligned himself with Heyman. Um, but yeah, a solid match. I have an issue with the finish, like just because they did it a few matches before. But I have no issue with Dom winning. No issue with him pinning Finn. That's what should have happened. I have no issues with anything else. Like, yeah, solid match that I was okay with being there.
Yeah, again, I had a little bit problem with the build. I think it could have been better. After the match, I said, "Man, they got to do more with that guy." And referring to Braun, I'm like, because he just seems like he has so much talent and so much possibilities to do stuff. I'm like, they just need to do more with him. Well, I guess they're gonna do that. So let's see where that goes. So huzzah! I wish he would use the Steiner name. That's just me. I don't like I don't like Breaker as a name. It just seems childish.
Yeah.
Like it's like Triple H's name, Terror Rising. Okay, that's haha. Uh-huh. Oh, he's a breaker. He's gonna break you. Uh-huh. Eh. Use the damn Steiner name. You've earned it. That name means something. Just let him use it. Maybe he will. Again, now with this new Heyman alignment, maybe everything changes.
I
They're
don't
doing
think
something with him, so
so.
I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, they're definitely doing something with him, and they need to because they capitalize on this with him. But I don't think if it was just him coming in to Raw, like this was his debut or something. And with Heyman, I would say, yeah, they might change his name. He's now Braun Breaker in the WWE universe, his mind, and as a good guy and as a bad guy. So I don't think they're going to change it. And it's the expectation is just that everybody knows he's a Steiner. Whether I agree with that or not, maybe they add on Steiner into his name, Braun Breaker Steiner, which sounds awful, but I don't know. I just don't see them changing it now. I think he's just going to be Braun Breaker. But if he keeps doing what he's doing in the ring, and he can work with Heyman on promo shit, then yeah, the sky is the limit for this kid.
Yeah, I think he needed to drop the title. I think they just didn't really have anything for him to do with it. I think moving away from the IC title for him is great. It allows him to go better directions, different directions. Dom deserves it too. I think he can do fun stuff with the IC title. So as much as I didn't like the build, I was fine with the result, and I'm actually looking forward to what goes next.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously it's going to be something with Finn and probably maybe some Penta too. Maybe it'll be a triple threat or a one-on-one, more stuff like they did on Raw. But yeah, we'll see where it goes. I'm very curious what the crowd continues to do with him now that we get away from WrestleMania weekend. Like, are we back to booing Dom, or are we going to keep getting more cheers? Moving on from that is Randy Orton got his match, which I'm a little bit disappointed who they picked, but I love Joe Henry. I just don't feel like he didn't need it. Like when you have other wrestlers, like it's a great WrestleMania moment, but you didn't really like. There's tons of other wrestlers that wanted to be on WrestleMania card. Everything with Karrion Kross. Granted, if they didn't do that, we wouldn't have got his promo that he cut. That I loved on whose ever podcast or TV show, whatever it was. He talks about it. It was good. I wish that he could have got that opportunity, even though like last year when he was in his WrestleMania match with the Hurt Syndicate, I think it wasn't that great of a match, but they also had not a great build. But now with him being like the devil on everybody's shoulders, it would have been interesting to see at least him get a match in his hometown. But if we take it for what it was with Joe Hendry, it was awesome. Like hearing that crowd go bananas for him getting a couple spots in, the RKO out of nowhere during the camera zoom in thing was great. It was a little bit of a squash match, but not fully. It wasn't a full squash. And then the second RKO made sense for Randy Orton's character. So I had no problems with it. I'm glad it didn't last that long overall. If this is what they were going to do, I would have preferred a little bit of back and forth just because it's a WrestleMania match and he is the TNA World Champion. But I thought it was fine.
I have never heard an internet wrestling community so divided on such a match. Holy crap. I loved it. Start, finish, length, name it, loved it. I thought the crowd popped huge. It was an exciting moment. The dude, if you ever listen to any of his interviews, the dude seems like a super cool guy, super chill, super deserving of a moment. And at any point in this whole process, I think he had an interview yesterday or whatever with one of the podcast guys, RE AH, something like that. He said he found out about a week beforehand, which also included a couple people of TNA management. At any point, anybody in the process, including himself or TNA, could have said, nah, we don't want our champion booked this way. And you know what? Nobody would have complained. But you know what? It's fucking WrestleMania. And you want to call it a squash match? Fine. I don't disagree. I also don't agree. My definition of a squash match is kind of different. I've obviously thinking more enhancement talent, probably mid 90s where the Razor Ramon comes in and beats the crap out of some guy you've never heard of and will never hear of again. This was a fun moment. Just start to it was just fun. You could see it. Randy was having fun. It looked like Joe was having a blast. Let's face it, you're going from TNA and you have a couple thousand in house to walking into fucking WrestleMania with 60K plus. Damn it, that's gotta feel good for the year and past couple years that dude has had. Now, do I think he's in a WrestleMania like level? No. I mean, I don't watch a ton of his matches. I think he's probably great to cross over with NXT and stuff like that. I think he's funny. I think he's deserving a WrestleMania moment, and it was wonderful to see him come out and have that opportunity, not just for a payday because he's getting paid for that, but just to experience that. And I know he's not a spring chicken. I know he's kind of in his mid 30s, I think, ish, early 30s, somewhere in his 30s. This could, I mean, granted, you hope his career continues its upward trajectory, but at any point it could stop. And this could be the apex moment for him. And to be able to walk away with that to say, great. So I was the TNA champion. I came out. I lost to Randy fucking Orton. He didn't go out there and lose to the boogeyman, right? Like, it's Randy Orton.
Right.
15-time world champion Randy Orton. Okay. And no offense, when they stood face to face, look at Randy Orton compared to Joe Hendry.
Yeah.
Okay. Randy Orton is a monster of a man right now. Like, not only is he like 6'5" still, but he is a freaking tank of a man. Holy crap. So, okay, let's face it. He dwarfed Joe Hendry. As much as he is the TNA world champion, he dwarfed him. Great. So, now taking that aside, right? At any point, TNA could have said no. Joe Hendry could have said no. Anybody in this process a week before could have said no. We don't want to do this. We think it belittles our champion. Those are perfectly reasonable explanations. Now, I've heard some people on the internet say, "Well, you could have had Rusev come back. You could have had Jesus, I think Stevie Richards is on about this Jeff Cobb guy from New Japan or something that's just got released or something because he's from Las Vegas." Okay. Again, I'm a nobody. I'm an absolute nobody. Never had any connection to wrestling. I just watched it. But let's put it this way. Who are you sending out there? Karrion Kross included. What do you think is going to happen to the person that comes out to face Randy Orton? Joe Hendry or not? The exact same thing. Maybe a couple minutes more. Maybe a different level of offense. But the same thing is going to happen. So if you were set on why you just signed Rusev, why didn't Rusev come back? Because do you want him to come back at WrestleMania and lose to Randy Orton? Do you want Karrion Kross, who feels like he's right at the start of something? It feels like he's just about to get a push, and damn it, he probably also deserves it too. Do you want him to come out and get his butt kicked at WrestleMania and then essentially squash any heat that he's got? Do you want some guy from New Japan that you just signed? I don't know if they did it or not. I watch these 5-minute YouTube shorts because wait for things. While work is working on things, I tend to pop open YouTube and watch it. But do you want some random guy you just signed that might be a beast and might be somebody you see as a world champion? Do you want him to come and debut and lose at WrestleMania to Randy Orton? The best thing you could have done is either prop up somebody else that maybe you have hopes for, like a Joe Hendry, like an NXT talent that would surprise. I'm the NXT champion. I'm Obafemi or somebody, or Trick Williams, or insert NXT guy here that you don't mind losing to Randy Orton to kind of get the Randy Orton rub. Or you could have brought back a legend. Honestly, that's what I told the wife. I said, I expect a legend because Randy was the legend killer. So it's WrestleMania weekend. There are a ton of legends in town. He's going to be the legend killer for a night. Bring out somebody. They get slaughtered with a couple RKOs and the match is over. So looking at it, again, I'm not in the business. I've never been in the business. So if some of the talking heads want to take offense to it because they see it from a different business side, I have no fight to that. I don't disagree that it was essentially a squash match, but I personally don't see it as a squash match. I see it as an extremely fun moment. It looks like everybody involved was super happy how it came across. And Joe Hendry, as much as he might have got, yes, he is a world champion and got squashed on WrestleMania. It was against Randy freaking Orton. Holy cow. Like, okay, if you're going to lose to somebody, it might as well be that guy, especially at this point in time. 20 years in the WrestleMania. Yeah, I think you're okay to lose to that dude. And even Joe Hendry brought it up on the podcast. He said, John Cena did this. John Cena came out and got squashed when he was fighting for that. He wanted to fight the Undertaker, right?
Yeah.
I want to fight you. I want to fight you. And he kept saying no, no, no. And he ended up in the ring and it was like a 2-second choke slam, one done. Thank you, ma'am.
It was a little longer than that, but it was about the same amount of minutes as this was. Like this was about a 3-minute match. I think the Cena one was like a 4 or 5, and it was mostly just him being scared of the Undertaker, and then eventually getting the choke slam, and the tombstone. So yes, I agree. I don't mind that it's a squash in the sense of squash, but I'm surprised that TNA was like, yeah, it's our world champion. Now again, it gets eyes on them because people that don't watch TNA and don't watch WWE that often, but watch WrestleMania are like, who is this guy? And why is he holding a title? And they're talking about TNA. What's TNA? And then so people go look at that. I think it's great exposure for them and Joe Hendry himself. It's not what I wanted, but I don't honestly know what would have satisfied me in this sense. Like, because again, it's WrestleMania. Should Randy Orton get I'm going to call this guy and get a squash match at WrestleMania? No, in my opinion. Like, if your opponent falls through, well, that sucks. I guess you're not on WrestleMania this year. Like, that's the way the cookie crumbles in that sense. But again, I know it's Randy Orton, and
but I guess
him, but
and that's what you get for being a veteran. Sometimes you get to call your shot.
Yeah,
and
it was Randy that chose.
And now knowing what you saw on Monday, you wouldn't want to. So you wouldn't have used WrestleMania to start something.
Sure.
Right? You wouldn't have brought a new guy out and end in what would essentially have been a Raw or SmackDown ending, where they kind of fight for a while and then there's no ending. They just separate and they go their own ways, or somebody runs away or something. To start a feud. Again, the people in the know knew that the next night he was going to do that to Cena.
Again, knowing that, I agree with you. Like, that makes complete sense. Like, to have him on there knowing what he was going to do with the Cena thing, which, to be fair, I also assumed too, because he's on the poster for WrestleMania, or for Backlash, Randy Orton is, and I also assumed that Cena was going to win the title for his 17th, and I knew they were going to run back at least once, Randy Orton versus Cena, just because it's Cena's last year, and they had so many matches to the point where it got sick and annoying that we had to watch this damn match again. So yes, that all makes sense, and I get that. You do get to call your shot. He's actually the one who chose Joe Hendry, because he likes what he's doing. So yes, he deserves that. But did it feel like a WrestleMania moment? Yes. Did it feel like a WrestleMania quality match? No. Which is my only real gripe.
To me, this was, you mentioned 17. This was your gimmick battle royal.
Yeah.
Right? It means nothing.
Nothing.
But here is here is something.
Yeah.
WrestleMania 17 had the gimmick battle royal of all the random ass people coming back that some couldn't even walk really anymore.
Yeah.
Well, this year you got this. And you know what? It made for a great fire moment. And now Joe Hendry's going to be in memes for the next year and a half. And you know what? You hope it gets TNA the exposure that they want. Honestly, I see no downside. I completely understand the squash match view. I understand people don't like it. I don't personally feel that way, but my opinion doesn't count.
It's funny that we're going to talk about, we've talked about that match for however long now. Now we're going to talk about, we talked about some of these other matches that got more of a build and more of everything else for like less time just because they weren't that important. But I think it's because this match the squash match. It was only 3 minutes, so besides for the fact that it wasn't a WrestleMania quality moment or match, or not moment, match, it definitely gave us the moment, and it has so many implications for TNA, for Joe Hendry, for Randy Orton now, who's going to be facing John Cena. Like, I get all of that, but we've talked about it a lot compared to some of these other matches that didn't engage us at all. So they've done the right thing because like that's what you want people talking about it. You want people doing this. That's what you want.
Good or bad, as long as they're talking about it.
Yeah.
And that's it. And
Um,
you know what? It's funny because when I was watching it on TV, I think I reacted like, "Oh my god!" when he was coming out, and I didn't actually like really hear it. And then the next day, I had my headphones on. I was watching the clip, and with my headphones on, I could hear the crowd. I could hear the reaction. And I'm like, "Oh my god!" It was freaking loud. Like
they went bananas.
they were singing, and you heard all the claps. I'm like, "Oh my god, they're doing it!" Like they know who he is. He got reaction. Honestly, I don't know how he would have felt just feeling that because just feeling that energy at WrestleMania honestly would have been payday enough.
Oh yeah. All right. So moving to probably one of the worst matches, which is really weird to say, with AJ Styles and Logan Paul. Yeah, it was bad.
It's just I uh,
Yeah, 15 plus minute
no
match. Too.
I again uh no notes, but not in a good way.
Yeah, game. Like
I just
you would think these two should be able to have a good match because AJ Styles can have a good match nearly with anybody, and Logan Paul has impressed in almost every match he's been in, and this wasn't good. I just don't know if they don't have the chemistry or what it is, but it wasn't good, and I didn't like the finish either because again, Logan Paul's random groupie that people know that I don't know got involved, and then Karrion Kross got involved, um, which I do still hope is setting up something for Karrion Kross and doing everything there, but I just, yeah, this match did nothing for me and just brought me all the way down.
I understand they're paying Logan Paul enough money that you have to do something with him. I just don't care.
See,
Just
I,
don't care.
I
Not
disagree with the don't care, at least for me, the don't care. Like last year's WrestleMania, him, Kevin Owens, and Randy Orton was a great match. I had a lot of fun with that match. Granted, that might have been a little bit with Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Um, he had the match with um, LA Knight, I think, at one point, and that was fine. The match with Roman Reigns in like Saudi Arabia, whenever that was, like a year and a half ago, was a really good match. He's had some really good matches. This match for me, and his character is the normal blase heel, but he does more viral stuff. So like I get some of that. It feels like more of a modern day heel. But yeah, this match is just for AJ Styles, who's one of my all-time favorites, because I've been watching him in TNA since you used to be able to buy their pay-per-views for 99 cents, to now, like it, yeah, his match sucked.
yeah. I don't. I'm not debating that Logan Paul doesn't have talent. I he's to me he does surprise me since he's essentially an outsider. And I think back to how outsiders were of the, Kevin Greens and the Dennis Rodmans and the Jay Leno's of the world and stuff like that. This is kind of how I see it from, old school wrestling. He is an outsider, but he's coming in. He's freaking athletic. He's definitely strong enough. It's just, I don't, to me, he just does nothing for me. So I just don't care.
Okay.
Sad as that's just,
So then, okay, so we're gonna move on from that because I didn't like the match and you don't care, so good. Uh, the women's tag match, I don't know how I feel. Like Becky coming back was great. I don't like that they set it up with a Bailey injury because they just did the Jade Cargill injury of who did it. So I don't know how I feel about that. I also don't love that Bayley got passed over, even though I love that Becky Lynch is back. Um, and I don't like, because we know what happened on Raw, the taking the title and then giving away. I wish they would have at least held it till Backlash, and then could have lost it at Backlash, and then she freaks out. And I know they're looking at probably setting up Becky versus her for the Intercontinental Women's title, so that Becky can hold like all the gold and be like a Grand Slam champion. Um, but yeah, I didn't really care about the match that much, besides for Becky returning. And yeah, it was also no build. There was a gauntlet match, and then like with 10 days worth of build, and then it was like, okay, now it's going to be you two, and then on the pre-show, I think is when Bayley got hurt on Saturday. So or
On
when
Saturday, yeah,
and then Becky comes back the next day, which just yeah, I don't know. Not a fan.
I,
Not a fan. Not a fan.
this should have been a Raw match. I have no problem with it. I don't think it deserved to be at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
This could have, you know what? Bayley gets hurt first thing of Raw, and hey, you have your match later. You're welcome to find a replacement if they can get here. And Becky shows up. This could have worked perfectly fine on Raw, or you could have had this set up on SmackDown the week before. Like, oh, Bayley got hurt somehow mysteriously. All right, well, your match is Monday. You have the weekend to find a replacement.
Yeah.
And then it makes sense. Oh, look, you happen to be in Vegas, and I called you. You're here already. You might as well show up on Monday Night Raw. It's fine. I had no problem with the actual match itself. I just don't think it deserved to be at WrestleMania like this.
Yeah. Speaking of a match that did deserve WrestleMania, but then didn't deserve WrestleMania, is the main event of night 2, which in a lot of people's eyes is the main event of WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. It sucked. And I don't know. There's a lot of people online that are saying that's the point, because Cena said he's going to ruin wrestling. But you don't want the matches to suck. So I don't like that take, because do you really want to watch Cena at Backlash and SummerSlam and all these other ones if his matches are going to suck and that's the point of his character? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But the match sucked. I didn't like it at all. I thought the finish was stupid as fuck. With not only the Travis Scott thing, the Travis Scott thing was dumb as shit. The Rock not being there, also dumb as shit, especially if they're supposed to be building this up, which then we found out they weren't. And then having the John Cena, like, oh, we're going to struggle over the title, and then, oh, you took it away from me, but don't hit me with it because I'm a heel. I'm fine with John Cena doing that. But there's no reason that Cody Rhodes wouldn't have hit him with it. He just beat the hell out of Kevin Owens. Like, he knows how to be vicious. That was the whole point of that build with Kevin Owens, to beat the hell out of him and telling him, like, you tried to end my career and I'm going to try to end yours. And now, yeah, there is no reason for it. None at all. I at least would have liked for him not to do it, and then Cena to try to like kick him in the balls, but Cody catch it. And then maybe we go through there, but Cena already kicked you in the balls. Like, you didn't get your receipt on Travis Scott. You hit him with the crossroads, which doesn't actually hurt when he actually like busted your eardrum. So you didn't get your receipt there. Cena kicks you in the dick, and then you just let him then kick you in the dick again. Like, oh my God, Cody Rhodes, WrestleMania 30 or WrestleMania 39 and WrestleMania 41 is the stupidest person in the world. And I don't like that at all. And the match itself just wasn't good from start to finish. I hated it. But let's hear your thoughts, because mine are negative.
I don't have anything great to say, if that's what you're looking for. I didn't hate the match, I guess, as much as you did. I understood the style. I mean, obviously he's, going back to his promos, he's saying, I'm going to kill this. I want to end this here. So, I mean, he's not looking to be, flashy. Somebody said it online. I forget who. Maybe it was Wrestling with Regret or somebody of that. It makes sense that he's going for a non-flashy style, but really how he's wrestling is he's just doing his normal stuff with a little bit more of like, come on, kid. And whoever said that, it's a quote. I'm sorry if I didn't quote the right person. It's not my original thought, but it's right. Like he's just doing same John Cena stuff. He's just doing it with a little extra attitude of like, I'm better than you. Um, the match was slow. I think that was on purpose. I don't think it came off well because it wasn't what people wanted. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. But I hate it. Um, and then you get to the ending, and just I don't get it. I I'll admit I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer at all times. And then hearing the Rock's comments after on Pat McAfee, and I really don't get it, like at all. Where he goes into Elimination Chamber and he's the catalyst for the whole thing. He's the one who starts the heel turn. Whether they want to really, acknowledge that or not, if they want to say he wasn't, okay, it damn sure looked like he was then. Cool. And The Rock saying, well, he didn't want to be part of it because he wanted it to be about Cody and John. Like, well, that's fine. I think that build also kind of sucked. I liked some of John's promo work as a heel. I thought it was fun. It was definitely a change of pace for watching the past 20 some odd years. I think Cody had a couple strong promos out of it. I just don't think it hit home. I think the disconnected of it a little bit with John only working certain dates, and like John would come out on Raw and then Cody would come out on SmackDown, and then sometimes they'd be on the same show and then Cody would come out on SmackDown by himself again. It was like, okay, it's like I got two telephones here and I got to listen to one song, I listen to the other. Like just do this. And then to your point, like, okay, during the build, Cody got aggressive with John. Like he knew what John was about. He stood up to him and he said bad words to him and he gave him a couple crossroads. And then come time to hit him with a belt, he doesn't do it. Fine. Okay. You all of a sudden turned back to super good white meat babyface, which is not what you've been for the past few weeks. That's fine. And Travis Scott takes about 16 minutes to walk to the ring. And now we have it. Rock's story is he wanted to make it about Cody and John. But then Travis Scott has to be here for what stupid reason? Either he's there and he's part of it, or not. Like, if Travis Scott's there, then The Rock has to be there. If The Rock's not going to be there, then Travis Scott can't be there. You can't split it up that one is there and the other is not there, because either they were the catalyst for the whole thing or they weren't. I don't know. If this is setting up some stupid match between Travis Scott and Cody, then I don't have a care for that at all. I don't want to see that. But fine, I don't know who's doing what. I the ending got I'm fine with John winning. I had no problem with Cena taking the belt. I kind of expected it mostly. I don't like the fact that he's kicking out of all these AAs. He's kicking out of everything. And he gets a kick to the balls and it hits with the belt, and that does it. When I think the night before Gunther hit Jay with the belt, it didn't matter. He ended up kicking out of that.
Yeah.
And then there was so much time after he hit him with the belt.
With the ref.
He had to go wake the ref up and get him back. One more kick out. You know what? Just kick out one more time.
And then do
a couple more AAs and then finish them off. Yeah. And I would have had so much less of a problem with it than I did. But the fact that it was a kick to the balls, a hit to the head with the belt, about 20 minutes to get the referee up, get a couple of glasses of water, maybe make a dinner or two, and then you pinned him.
Not to mention,
still pinned him with ease.
Think of last year. How many things did he kick out of Roman's? How many spears? How many other moves did he get hit by? And he still kicked out each time. And then he just goes down with a kick in the balls and that. I agree. Like a kick out there would have been good, because then Cena would have been like, oh shit, like this didn't work. And then, okay, let's do an AA, or let's do a super AA, or whatever it is, or lock on the STFU. And make him tap or pass out, especially pass out because it's Cody. Wouldn't have been a bad scene to end on. of Cena making him pass out. But yeah, it made Cody look stupid. It made him look weak, and just yeah, it was bad. It was a bad main event, especially after night one's main event was great and night two sucked.
And I don't know, like again, how much you want to read into dirt sheets and what was reported. I guess Rock wanted Cody to turn.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, and then you hear the comments. You hear the comments on Monday that he suggested that, and then I guess Hunter said, "Well, what if we turn John instead?" Because Cody's obviously making us a ton of money. It almost feels like, again, this is me reading between the lines and making my own story in my head, because that's what I do when I get bored sometimes, is that maybe The Rock just didn't get the angle that he wanted, and he wanted to do something with Cody turning heel. And because John turned heel, well, that's not the story I want. So, yeah, I think I'm good. I'm not going to do anything for WrestleMania. If you turned Cody, I would have stayed for WrestleMania, but you turned John, I'm good. I don't know, right? Doesn't that feel like it could be a thing? Is that The
Oh, yeah,
Rock didn't get the storyline he wanted?
absolutely.
It's just
now,
like,
what they should have done, in my mind, if they would have turned Cody heel, let him be heel for a month and let it all be a setup to get The Rock at WrestleMania, and then beat the hell out of The Rock or something, and like betray The Rock there. Like if you want to pretend, like look at Randy Orton and the Wyatt, like or Daniel Bryan and the Wyatts, and like both of those with the Wyatts of acting like you're a part of their group for a short period of time and then betraying them and turning like back to face. You could have done that with Cody. You could have had him say, "Yeah, I'm going to team with you and do that," and then you still could have gotten Cody versus Cena at Mania, and yeah, you could have done that, and that could have maybe appeased The Rock or something. But yeah, just the way it was done, nothing makes sense, which is not what I like from my booking and storytelling. And the match itself, you didn't have a problem with it. I fucking thought it sucked. And if some of that's him just going slower than normal because that's part of his character, fine. But I didn't like the match. I didn't feel like they had the chemistry in the ring that I assumed that they would have. And I'm honestly very curious. Let's take The Rock out of it. What if Cena won the Chamber and stayed face? I'm very curious how a face Cena and a face Cody at WrestleMania, you know, would have worked. Like Undertaker,
yeah, I
Shawn,
think
both are faces. Like,
that
and they had a hell of a.
that's been a lot. That's been a lot of the conversation on the internet news guys, whoever, pick your channel who you like most or hate most. Is that the question is now, well, what would have been the plan had The Rock not showed up at Elimination Chamber? If ticket sales hadn't been soft and they called in The Rock, well, what was the original plan? Because some believe, I don't know, again, who I read this from or watched from, so whoever's idea this was, I'm sorry, that they would have gone into a face, but during the match, John would have turned heel. Is that he would have got frustrated? He would have realized the 17 was in his grasp, and during the match, he turns heel. And then again, an extension of that is there were some reports or thoughts or internet ramblings of they were trying to prevent Cody from getting booed. It happened anyway. Because
Yeah.
on Friday night he was booed. And then on Sunday night he was booed. Even though you still had the fighting Cena chance, Cody was booed. Smart marks are gonna just love to cheer to heel, no matter what you do.
Well,
So don't
I mean, you
book
look
for
at
the fans.
Brock Hogan. They went with it. Like for that night, they went with it. They played different characters and they did it. Like they could have done that. Like easily. John Cena was mostly a face, and granted, Rob Van Dam was too. But when John Cena went into ECW One Night Stand, like he played the heel because that crowd fucking hated him. Like you could have done this, and I would have liked more if they would have been face at WrestleMania, and then Cena loses, so Cena doesn't get his 17th title. Cena goes heel. Cena gets a rematch at Backlash, just because he's Cena and he's like, I deserve this, give it to me. And then like the same promo that he cut basically at the Elimination Chamber or the Royal Rumble. I lost this. It's best for business. I'm going to enter myself into the chamber. I would have been, if he would have lost at WrestleMania, got a went heel, kicked Cody in the balls, and then went to the press conference being like, it's best for business for me to get the 17th championship. I'm cashing in all my favors over the years. I have a match at Backlash with him in 3 weeks. I'm taking I'm taking the title. I will be the last champion. Blah blah blah. Whatever it is. I would have been better with that because one, hopefully you get a better match with them being face against each other. Maybe better chemistry. I don't know. And then you still get that ending moment of Cena turning heel, which is a bigger moment at WrestleMania than it would have been at Elimination Chamber, even though Elimination Chamber was like a holy shit moment. Um, I'm just more curious how that match would have been with Cody and Cena. Maybe we'll get it again, and maybe it'll be better, but it won't be face versus face.
I don't know where they go from here. I'm gonna. I guess again, I care less in my old age now. That I'm just gonna watch the weekly shows and see what happens. It's just like a soap opera. Just things are gonna happen.
Definitely a soap opera.
I'm hoping that there is a. They've done pretty good in recent years for long-term booking, way better than previous years. So I'm gonna hope they knew John Cena's dates. They knew what he was doing this year as far as 1 year and done. And I'm hoping that has been all planned out and that this will all make sense in the end.
Well,
Somehow.
So he's going to keep the title to December, is what I'm expecting. And then he's going to lose it maybe at Saturday night's main event, which is in Boston in December. That would be that's my thought. I don't know for sure, but him losing in his hometown, going out on his back, would make sense to me and something that I assume Cena would want to do. I don't necessarily like that it's a Saturday night's main event, but that's one way to make that show actually important because most of it's just a fucking house show. It's a televised house show, is all the Saturday night's main events have been.
I guess my only hope, here's what I would do, because I go back in the past and I wish they would have done this in 2011 when Punk beat Cena. And he took the title and he left. And for a night, or I think it's about 2, maybe 3 weeks, if tops, he was gone, right? Because his contract expired. He won the title and he left. Well, he doesn't have a contract. And then eventually they did that little tournament, and John eventually beat Ray after Ray won. It's just stupid. And you had Punk showed right up after Cena won. I'm like, well, you're not the champion. I'm the champion. Okay. Let's have a chance to do that over, right? Let's do it right this time. Maybe he goes into December. Maybe he goes into Boston. And he walks out of there and says, this is my last match. This is the last time you'll see this. And he leaves. But let's remember, this is pro wrestling. Nothing is ever final. And that he's actually agreed, to nobody's knowledge, one more WrestleMania match. He walks in with the real world championship, and now he faces whoever the replacement world champion is, as he's alluded to, I believe, on Raw. He kind of said this, right? Oh, I'll leave. You'll make a new title, but it won't be this one. For the whole year, and he leaves. Let him leave. Let people believe he's left. Let him come back for one more for the real belt. And you have your fake new champion and the real champion, winner take all. And he loses. I mean, obviously, you know the result of what's going to happen because he's not going to win and walk away with the belt. It's pro wrestling and whatever. Maybe you make some new stakes and somebody smarter than me in a writer's room could figure something out. But maybe that's where you take this, is he just keeps it the whole year and leaves. And then, oh, by the way, I will come back for one more because you've tormented me enough, or because I feel I have something to prove against, maybe it's Punk. And they run back well, you beat me. I want to beat you this time. It's something stupid. We're like, no, I want to make up for that thing 2011. I want to beat you this time and leave. You did it to me. I'm going to do it to you. I don't know. I think somebody smarter than me could spin that around and make it
Yeah,
work. Like,
I think they could probably do that at in December though. I don't see Cena now. Granted, I would love that to be the idea that he comes back just for one more and be like, "I told you, Marks, this, and you believe me," and blah blah blah. But either way, like I think they might do this Punk thing in December because Punk still has a lot of legs with this Roman Rollins thing. But you do it in like December, whatever that paper. If they want to make Saturday Night's main event the big one, you do Punk because that was in Chicago, if you remember. It was Punk versus
this is true.
so this would be in Boston. Punk versus Cena in Boston, Saturday night's main event. And if Cena wins, he leaves with the title. Um, and you have Cena win, and he leaves with the title. If they do your idea of like him coming back, you do it the exact same way. Like Punk is the only opportunity to keep the title with WWE. Cena wins, Cena leaves. They make a new
I
title.
just love the sound of it. Like, because they do, you're like, oh, now what? Like, you actually don't know.
Yeah,
Now, again, we've been around long enough that we know eventually that means the real world champion is going to come back and they're going to have
yeah.
some unification. That is always what happens. But
You
let
also make
it
the
breathe this
Royal
time.
Rumble mean more. You could make the Royal Rumble for the vacant title.
Sure. Right. But
Yeah,
let it breathe because last time they did it, it was maybe 2 weeks, maybe three. I don't think it was that long. I think it wasn't the next night, but
it
I think it
was.
was like the
I
week
think it was.
after.
I think it was 8 days after. So pay per view was on Sunday. They did the thing Monday and said, "Hey, next week we're having the tournament." So 8 days later is when it happened.
And he came back out that night. Like, you didn't even let him like go
I know.
do anything. Like, oh, you could have done so much with that. Maybe now with different people in charge, maybe you let it breathe. Look,
Maybe.
he left. He only had 30 some odd dates. He's left. And then you have, like you said, yeah, Rumble. That would be great. Well, we need a new champion. Winner of the Rumble will be your champion. And now you have some, and then you know what? You got, you could do whatever you feel from then to WrestleMania to figure out how to work him back in for one
Yeah.
more match. And you spin whatever angle.
Well,
I
so
mean, don't please don't have him walk out after the Rumble winner and
God,
be
no,
like,
don't do that.
ha, 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 ha. Okay,
But
let it
you
fucking
have the
breathe.
Rumble. You have the Rumble. You have a new Raw World or a SmackDown World Champion. And then you have the Elimination Chamber, but you have the Raw guy win it. So then he's gonna go after the Raw champion, like Jey Uso's title right now. So then you don't have anybody after Elimination Chamber who's supposed to be facing um, whoever won the Royal Rumble. That's when I think you weave him back in because you leave the Elimination Chamber open in the sense of you do 3 Raw, 3 SmackDown. The Raw people probably gonna pick Raw, the SmackDown people pick the SmackDown people. So you have the Raw one win. So then SmackDown's like, okay, well we don't have a challenger. Like who's going after the world title? Then I think you can weave him back in, and even the champion's like, you know what, I'm a fighting champion. I'm this, I'm that, and then say that he's gonna set up something. And just maybe have the entire like I don't think it'll happen, but like set up a tournament with like 4 guys, 8 guys, and then the night of the tournament, they're all just taken out. Each like all of them are just laid out somewhere. So there's no tournament. And then you get the 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 Cena music or something like that that sets up that he's coming back for one more. I think one that'll make the roof pop.
Because
Good.
think about it this way, right? Wrestling contracts are not normally like that year based. They don't start in January and end in December. Traditionally, they start when you sign, whatever month that is, and they go a certain period of time, right? So to say that Cena would walk away in December, when December is the lull, and right after January starts the big run, that's WrestleMania season starts in January. You're going to walk away then? I I just feel like what's another 3 months of what traditionally is the best 3 months of the year? Maybe four if you fall into April. right? Like, because after Rumble, that's when the good stuff starts. And you're not going to be here for that. You're telling me you're walking away then?
I like your
I don't
conspiracy
know.
theory thing, but I also get the idea of him being like, I don't want to wrestle when I'm this age, so I've got the one more year left in me. It all makes sense, especially as a face. But I would love if they did something heelish. And I know we could talk about this for probably like more hours, but we're already like 2:45 in. We've beaten this one
Whew.
a bit, and I know there's. I'm very curious. I think the best part about it, like again, I didn't like the match, but I'm very curious where his reign goes. Like they have a lot to do over the next 8 months into December of what they can do with his reign of who he's defending against. Do we get the greatest hits of all the people that he's fought in the past and some new people that gives him the opportunity to face that he's never done before? And then where do we go at the end of the year? Does he leave? Does he stay? Like I know he won't stay forever, but does he do the thing where he comes back for Mania? Like maybe, especially because again, it would make complete sense to me if it's Punk Cena in Boston at Saturday night's main event with the title on the line and recreate Money in the Bank. Like I think that makes sense, but I'm at least intrigued. Like there are certain things I loved at WrestleMania and there are certain things I fucking hated. But for the stuff that I'm intrigued by, I want to see more, which I guess is a good thing.
Yeah. And it's going to take a long time to sort out. And I just hope they don't screw it up.
Yeah, that would be good. All right. Well, thank you, Dennis. I appreciate the time. It's always good for us to connect. We didn't even talk about GWF this time around because WrestleMania had a lot we had to get to, and I definitely wanted to make sure we chatted about your experience with the Elimination Chamber and the on location thing. We will be back next week for some episode because I don't know when this is gonna fully air. I think it's gonna air Monday. But yeah, we'll be back for some episode with the regular crew and the regular setup. But again, yeah, thanks Dennis for joining me.
Anytime.
All right, we will be back next week.